But usually everything that I do, every video that I have seen, because I watched so many videos on, including a green screen and everything else,
Yeah.
and everybody that I hear and watch, I mean, the biggest three things in the videos and being good quality is lighting and lighting and lighting.
Yeah,
So it's like
that's true.
I don't have like any studio lighting. It's just more just lights, but at least they're bright anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what you need, right? So
Yep.
that's true. A lot of people, and it's like source mics too. Like the more I'm starting to do stuff like this, I'm almost like, maybe I should go drop in on a mic. I don't know.
Well, I got the Blue Yeti, and it's actually a really good mic. The
Yeah.
only problem that I have, and it's specifically with sites like Appear In that we're running right now,
Hmm.
that the mic it controls the mic volume. So if it thinks the mic's too loud, it'll lower it, and so
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. You don't want that happening all on its own. So
No, in Zoom it doesn't do that, but in Appear In and I think in Hangouts actually it did it as well.
hmm. I was using Zoom today for a test meeting because I've got some stuff coming up where I'm going to do some packaging stuff with one of the guys from the Lubuntu stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
so we're just testing it. And I didn't realize there's that I can't remember what they called it in their settings where it basically like puts a filter on your video to make you look like smoother and stuff.
Right. I don't know if you. I mean, I don't know if you need that, but hey, but, like I started making videos, and it's one of those things where I want them to be good. I want them to be right, but you get to a point where you start making them, and you have to be at that level all the
Level.
time.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially with the green screen. I wanted the green screen because I would rather take out the background. Okay, I
Yeah.
think it looks a little bit more professional without the background in it. But then it's almost like every video you make has to have that in it.
Quality.
Then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think that's like I don't know if you listen to like Chris's stuff like from last and all that stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
he always talks about like how much trouble it is to get the quality that he wants, and he always talks about like how people get mad when it's not there. And then I look at like every other podcast that's out there and nobody else seems to be either. Maybe people just don't talk about it. I don't know. Um
But
and
no, you're right.
or
There.
but he's also very much like I would say he's hard on himself and he's like a bit of a perfectionist is my impression. Like I don't know him very well, but that's just kind of and not indicating that anybody else isn't a perfectionist, you know what I
Right.
mean? But you're always your own worst critic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was just talking to Rob today about that. The fact that
Mhm.
it would be awesome, and I would be able to put out a ton of videos if I could just sit down and make a video. Like, okay, I'm running Ubuntu right now. If I could just sit down and make a video on Ubuntu, that'd be great. But
Yeah,
the way I want to do it and how I want to phrase it, and I do like, I don't know, there's times I do 30, 40 takes on a video
I can believe it.
because I don't want it to be like and when you start editing out, it looks edited.
Yeah,
There's no, like, if you're just doing sound, it's easy to edit. But when you're
yeah.
doing video and you edit things out, it looks edited. So it's like Rob did a 30-minute video on Dolphin. Now, if I did a 30-minute video, it would take me a week probably because of all the takes that I would do.
Yeah. Oh, I can believe it. Like the audio aspect is way easier. Like I was a guest on uh do you know Adam I'm gonna butcher his last actually I'm not even gonna butcher his name. He does I'll send you the link later, but he does a podcast here local in Vancouver, and he's pushing really hard to like kind of build the local community here. So he had me on their podcast. He sort of interviewed me there, and then and then he asked me to co-host like the Vancouver desktop Linux users group. So we're reviving that, and
Nice.
um, he actually uses this pretty slick little service because he does audio only, and I was very surprised how well it worked. So what it does, it's just like a Chrome plugin, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
website, and you connect in on each side. Like I think he's using like stuff on his local machine, but then it records me local to me as a wave through the browser, and then when you're done the meeting, you keep the browser open and it uploads a wave file into the system, and then you've got locally recorded video, but you're brokering the whole thing through a website. And um,
Nice.
he said it's well worth the dollars. I got
Yeah.
some alerts coming in on my system there. You're not hearing them, are you? I hope not.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No.
cool. I just want to make sure I'm not like dinging in your
No.
video here. So.
But me and Rob have talked about just doing audio before.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like we started on YouTube. So
Hmm.
yeah, if we're a podcast, we could just do audio. But there's so many people on YouTube that watch on YouTube that don't listen to just the audio, that want to see the video part of it. And it just seems to me that we've talked about it probably 10 times because it would
Hmm.
be so much easier just to do audio. But it seems to me you connect with people more. And that's part of the reason why I have myself in the videos in the bottom or somewhere in the video
Right.
because I think you connect with people more when they see you, when it's like you know the person almost, you know?
Yeah. Well, it adds a
And
little bit more to the whole scenario. Like audio is definitely easier. Like if I was going to do a podcast, I'd probably just do audio because I can't edit myself out of a tin can. Well, actually, even for audio, you know what I mean? So I'd probably do audio only just because I'd have like a hope and, to actually get it done. And video is like a whole other thing. And it's a time commitment and all that other stuff. And it's not a laziness thing. It's more like, if you're, you got family and you're working full time and you're trying to like, like I'm working on some side project stuff and, uh,
right.
your time just goes so fast. And then, well, as you well know, I mean, that's why you guys were taking your little hiatus there for a week or two or however long it actually was.
It ended up only
And
being a week.
you
But
couldn't stay away, could you?
no, I tell you, like I said in the podcast, I mean that week, even though we weren't doing anything, I was still gathering headlines and stuff, and it
Yeah.
just, it's just built in. I guess I don't know. It just you after doing it, you just do it, and
Yeah.
it's more of the you almost sometimes you don't want to have that feeling of that you have to do it,
Hmm.
even though you should feel that way
Yeah.
because people are waiting for an episode, but it's
Hmm.
that it's that feeling, that pressure of having to, that is not always the best. But
Well, you probably wouldn't have started it if you didn't want to do it. You
oh,
know
I
what I mean?
definitely want to do it. There's no question
Yeah.
about it.
Like there's a bit of a like I don't know, call it a passion project, right? Like
Yep.
anything, like I would almost equate anyone who's working in open source that way. It's got to be a passion project, otherwise, why are they? Well, actually, I'm going to refrain from that because I'm pretty sure there's some people who are doing it for other reasons, but I'd say the majority, or at least the good ones, they're doing it because they just love it, and that's why
Yep.
they're doing it, right? So, and and that comes through too, right? When you're talking to them or even just seeing how they interact with the community. And I think uh, it becomes apparent.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's the little things that you put into it and the effort that you put into it. And I don't maybe not always am the most technical person for technical details,
Hmm.
but I want to talk about what I'm talking about. It's
Right.
not like we're bringing up topics that have don't really want to talk about. It's stuff that concerns us or that we appreciate, and
Hmm.
most of the time we gravitate towards the desktop. There's
Yeah.
a lot of other podcasts out there that they'll gravitate towards everything, and we'll mention things like phones and Android
Yeah.
and all kinds of like open source stuff. But 99% of the time, we're usually talking about the desktop because that's what we like.
Hmm. Well, and that makes sense. Like, what was it? Where did I see it? I was probably in one of the Telegram groups. Joey from OMG Ubuntu, he was kind of talking about what he writes. Where would I hear? Or maybe it was on one of the podcasts. I think he was on Late Night or Ubuntu or one of them. And he was saying that mostly he tends to write about the desktop because that's what he's interested in, and he doesn't really cover the other things. So,
Right.
but I think that's what's also going to keep you interested in a project or whatever it is, whether it's writing code or blog posts or what community engagement, whatever you want to call it, whatever aspects kind of float in your boat. If you don't like it, you're not gonna, you're not gonna stick with it. So
Well, that guy, Joey, that is such a great website. I don't know how he gets all of the stories he gets, and I mean, people just must go to him and like give him stories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because he comes up with some, things before anybody has them. But it's not just. There's never really an article that's just meh. You know what I mean?
Yep.
99% of the articles on there are relative and are interesting. I've never been on too many websites that you find that most of it is like that.
Right. Well, I mean, I imagine when he started, I mean, he's just been writing good stuff for a long time, and you probably get to a certain point where
How you doing, Ski?
I don't want to.
Hey, Rocco.
Sorry, Dustin.
No worries, no worries. Where that stuff kind of comes. I can use the word natural. I don't want to use the word easier because I don't want to discredit the work he's putting into it. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like, I guess the best way I can equate it is like a professional life where, you're starting out when you're younger and you're kind of getting going, and like, jobs are kind of hard to get, or you're waiting for that good job. And then over the years, you just sort of, they start coming to you at one point eventually, and then it's based on your reputation of your previous work and word of mouth. And like, that's how it is locally here in the enterprise market, where it's all word of mouth. Like half the jobs, or at least the good jobs, aren't even posted. And I equate it to that kind of thing where
Yeah.
your work ethic or your past history kind of starts to speak for yourself, whether, like, again, whether it's blog writing or writing code, or involvement in projects. It's all the same kind of thing, or at least I think it is.
It is. But that's why it was, when Ubuntu took out Unity and there was a lot of people that lost their jobs, it was sad to see them people lose their jobs. But as talented as they are, they're going to find other jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean the bigger problem that some people may have is, so Canonical in general. My impression is that it's pretty distributed, right? Like it's, I know they've got some presence in the UK, and I'm not sure what they have in North America. And so my impression is a lot of guys work remote. So providing that they have those contacts to get in somewhere remote again, or depending on what's available in their local area too, right? Like that all, is a factor.
Right.
So
So what are you up to, man? What are you working on right now?
me?
Yeah.
Well, let's see here.
Unless
Mostly,
you were asking me.
yeah. Well, that's I wasn't
Hey,
sure
what
which
are
way
you
the
working
question
on,
was going.
Ski?
I'm waiting for his answer.
Yeah, no. On our end, there's just it's actually a lot of back end stuff is what I've got going on. I'm trying to do some pipeline stuff with like Jenkins and stuff, and trying to automate some builds and testing and other
Nice.
things like that. It's all kind of more behind the scenes, because my initial contributions were all infrastructure and things like that, and some packaging. And I'm not super involved. Well, I am, but I'm not involved as much as I should be right now. And it's ended up being more of the community stuff and DigitalOcean stuff, and
Right.
kind of all over the map. And I keep pinging David, who's our project lead. I'm like, "Are you okay?" Because I'm kind of like, I'm all over the place right now. But like, I keep getting some stuff coming in, so that's working all right.
I'm sorry, Rocco, but can you introduce who's talking and who he's working with?
I keep getting some stuff coming in, so that's working.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to do something with your mic, man, because it's feeding back on everybody. So, Das,
Me?
what's going on?
It's not me.
No, it's the last guy that joined actually.
Was it me?
Das. No, there you go.
Oh,
I don't know. For some reason, your mic was muted. What's going on, man?
No, I want to know who the last guy was talking. Who is he and who's he working with? What are you developing?
Dustin, introduce
Myself?
yourself, will you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just one of the team members with the Ubuntu Budgie project.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Dustin?
Yes.
Nice to
Correct.
meet you. I'm John.
Nice to meet
Ski.
you.
Ski. We call him Ski.
All right. I got that.
Das,
Very good.
what is it? Did you mute your mic again, Das, or what? Or did it mute it
yeah,
for
I
you?
muted it so that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No feedback
Welcome,
or
Das.
something like that.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Awesome. What's going on with you, man?
Just playing all kinds of different things. We've been messing around with Plex servers a lot lately on my channel, so we've been messing with
Nice.
that. Yeah, have a good time.
Awesome.
Well, you have to join us sometime, Das, on Destination Linux, dude. You have to join us.
Would
I
love it.
emailed you. You never answered me.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh
You're getting called
Sorry.
out, man.
no. Oh man.
I did. I called him out on live YouTube.
That's all right. That's fair. I would love to join you guys. Absolutely. I got lots to learn in the Linux world, so but
There.
it's been an absolute blast.
No recourse. You committed now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is just like an informal chat that we do half the time on Friday night. So we talk about anything and everything Linux. So
Oh yeah. Friday
Well,
Night Live.
I won't. Das, you're into gaming, so like, we did a podcast today, an episode, and we talked about a couple things, but I'll let it out of the bag now. But it's not out of the bag. It's not no secret. It's out there. We just talked about it. Middle Earth, Shadow of War was delayed, dude, till October. I was so disappointed, man.
That's huge.
Like Shadow of Mordor is like one of my favorite games, dude, and I was so waiting for Shadow of War to come out.
So, are they porting the new one to Linux straight away?
I haven't seen anything saying they are, but that's why I dual boot Windows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's not so.
Did I say that?
Wow. The KDE man.
Yeah, well, hey.
I think we're all guilty of it sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, look,
Not
Battlefield
anymore.
1 is never going to come to Linux. So that
Hey,
means
just
I
do what
still have to have a Windows install.
Just do what I do. Just have such a bad GPU that you can't play anything, and then you have no reason to dual boot.
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, if I took out this NVIDIA card out of my system and just ran with the onboard graphics that I have with the Intel chip, I probably would have a lot less problems with driver issues and stuff because I always seem to have NVIDIA problems. Always.
Which card are you running?
It's a GTX 960.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, whether it's suspend issues, like for example, I'm running Ubuntu right now, and I come out of suspend, and it's just the whole desktop is artifact,
Oh,
and every window border, the window titles, none of the images show. They're all you have to basically log out and log back in.
Now, are you using the proprietary drivers? Or?
Yeah,
I
think it's 37566. I think is the one I'm using.
Yeah. Try running an AMD card, okay?
Look, no, I talked about that before.
That's all I got. What am I gonna do?
No, look, years and years I ran
Just get
AMD cards in Windows, and the drivers and the Catalyst drivers were
I know.
terrible. Oh my gosh, they were horrible.
And
I
Dustin,
said
you're
back
not
then I
helping me
would
with
never
your
run
Ubuntu.
another
I mean,
AMD
you
card.
disowned me with the AMD card.
Oh my gosh, here we go. All right, let me see if your mic is. Can you? I don't know who that is. Can you mute the stream in the background?
No, me?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It's fine now. Okay, so you're good now. All right. So why are you running an AMD card? That's what I want to know.
It came with my computer is 7 years old, okay? But come on, it's a Dell. It's an i7 8-core processor. I mean, it runs great on Arch.
You said the key word though. It came with it. That's the only reason you run an AMD.
That's pretty much the only reason.
I mean, I didn't choose it, right? So I'm trying to, find what works with what I have, so I don't have to pull it out and reconstruct. And my Intergos Gnome loves it. Everything else doesn't.
Yeah.
Solus loved it too, but that's it.
as long as you have one.
I can't have
Yep.
Manjaro. I can't have Ubuntu. Everything, even Debian struggles. I mean, I have screen tear. I can't get any Blizzard games. Nothing.
Time
I
for
run
new
the
GPU.
latest GTX 1080, and it's funny because those who watch my channel, I did the 30 days of Linux with no intention at the time of staying with Linux, but ended up falling in love with it. And now it's all Linux, everything Linux everywhere.
What are you running?
But the 1080 has performed tremendously well in gaming within Ubuntu and Manjaro, and it was the latest hardware, and that was really what the test was. I took this beast of a machine and threw Linux on it and said, can I replace everything I do in Windows as a high-powered user?
Right.
And it did an amazing job all the way through. But what's funny is when I was recording some of the gaming videos to show how great it was, OBS was screwing up and screen tearing Mint in the background. But I didn't want to redo the video because I wanted to have a pure video to show my experience. And so people still comment to this day. The video is like 6 months old, like, oh yeah, Linux is real great at gaming, you moron.
Right.
And then YouTube took out the card that you could put to annotate that said, I used to say, hey, this is an OBS screen tearing issue. You won't see it in the rest of the gameplay. But nobody sees that anymore.
No.
So it's just,
Right.
I'm doing a disservice to the whole Linux community by leaving that video up. But it really does game fantastic. Speaking of Lords of the Rings, Shadows of Mordor, when they ported that first one, I mean, it runs incredibly well in Manjaro, and the 1080 just runs flawlessly. It seems in Linux. The only issue I have is when I first install Ubuntu or Mint, it does not allow me to use my mouse until I switch to a proprietary driver. So I have to use the keyboard to get to the proprietary driver. Once I do that and reboot, everything works
Really?
perfectly.
What kind of FPS you seeing?
With certain games like Doom, which I ran in Vulkan within Wine, I'm getting 140 frames per second on full ultra nightmare setting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
I'm
Very
bold.
powerful. So, I mean, it's amazing what Linux can do in gaming. So I wish they would bring a lot more games to it, like Battlefield.
Amen, brother.
It could handle it.
Amen,
But
brother.
you took a lot of heat for that series, though. There was a lot of comments.
Oh boy, I took a
On
lot. I
that.
still take heat to this day because I
that
think
because-
people forget I'm new to Linux. So if I say anything wrong, the one thing about the Linux community is there's a lot of lovely people like you guys that help you, and then there's people who eat you alive
Yeah.
if you say something wrong. So I still take
Yeah,
heat.
but that doesn't matter how long you've been using Linux. They'll still eat you alive if there's a reason. That's
That's
just
good
the
to know.
internet.
Yeah.
This is true.
Most of
I
the
mean,
time.
just go post anything about anything on Reddit, and you'll find out how quickly things can be toxic. So it doesn't really matter where, or how long or what. Everybody's got their own opinion, and they're going to vocalize it because internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is true.
I think it's
But-
great. Our newest participant in the bottom right corner of my screen, at least, has a shirt that's on for me.
I know.
Right? Right? I need him.
You just want a shirt.
So I run a 4X 480 and I have no issues whatsoever. Ever.
Really?
On no catalyst installed, nothing. I'm using Arch or Antergos, and I've never had any issues with AMD graphics ever.
That's what I
Well-
found too. But outside of Intergos,
I was going to say, Intergos is really good. They are really good when they set up everything. So I'm not surprised that you don't have any problems with it.
Right.
why did they get it and nobody else did? What
Well,
are they
there's a
doing
lot of-
different?
There's a lot of moving parts, man. Like there can be so many things under the hood that, like different package selections and the combination thereof and what's conflicting with what, or the potential configuration that was written for one specific thing by that distro. Like there's lots of moving parts. It's the same thing how like even in like the Windows world, you can have one machine that's just fudging out on one particular application, and
Yep.
the same machine right next to it that was deployed off of the same template has no issue. Because computer, because black magic, because voodoo, whatever you want to call it. It's just
That makes sense to me, but I've always heard that Intergos is labeled as not a distro but Arch installer. So
Yeah.
I would think that it's a pure Arch, basically, but yet Manjaro totally doesn't work at all. Screen tearing, I can't get hardly anything to work on it.
Well, if I remember correctly, so I've never used Manjaro. I don't know a ton about it, but if I remember correctly, don't they pin back at like certain versions because they're trying to make it more of like an somewhat like hybrid LTS or something like that, where it's like
That's a good
a
point. That's a good point.
LTS kernel, and so you're gonna have a bunch of stuff that's at like different versions, and they're not bleeding edge. And then so if you've got some
Good point.
library that's sitting at a certain version, and then you've got like 5 newer on some other component in your system, like I don't know. It's
That could be.
yeah, or at least that's my
Why
thought.
we lost through the reboot? He doesn't even stay on Manjaro anymore.
Well, I can't even install Manjaro KDE. So, I mean, I was so disappointed in not being able to install that. But I got the XFCE one installed, but KDE, I tried, I don't know, 18 times. And it, so many issues.
And you have NVIDIA.
From not booting the live disk to black screens to the installer crashing to, I mean, from the Calamares installer, from the Thus installer, I mean, everything. I just could not get that thing installed, so I just gave up because I said it shouldn't be this hard.
Was that like your home sort of distro previously? Like I got the impression from listening to your podcast and stuff that that's kind of where you were for quite a while before you started hopping around, or
Well, no, I wasn't. I
misunderstanding?
mean, I had run Manjaro before, but
Mhm.
it was not my base,
daily?
basically. Yeah, it was not my daily. No.
Okay.
But I ran Intergos for a while, and that like I said, they have it down. Like there's people that will say, "Hey, I had problems with Intergos. I can't." They'll tell me the same issues that I had with Manjaro, they have with Intergos, and yet I have never once had an issue with Intergos installing or having it mess up or anything like that. The problems that I have are more to do with Arch itself and things breaking when when you're trying to it's always going to break that day right before, like, say, a podcast, and then you have to get a black screen on your boot or something like that. It's never going to break when you have time, and that's always an issue. So I've been trying to stick to Ubuntu based lately. So
Do you just have one machine?
I just have one machine.
Yeah, that's your problem as a distro hopper, my friend. You need one spare. You have one that's just rock solid that you don't touch. That's your quote unquote production machine, whatever you want to
Yes,
call it.
I agree.
And then you have your other little, like I've got some old laptops that I keep cycling around between different distros with whatever I'm watching or curious about or want to test, or like I've got a box that has Solus on it because I like to watch what they're doing upstream, and then I've got like another laptop that's just kind of what I cycle through, and then I have my main one that's obviously Ubuntu Budgie and stuff like that, and then like my desktop is actually Ubuntu Budgie with i3 layered over top because I've got like a ton of big large monitors, and I hate window management, and that's kind of my home before I started working on the project. I was actually Antergos with i3 layered over top of a GNOME install.
Really?
Never did i3, man.
Love it. I honestly really love it when you need to sit down and get work done. It's not great on a laptop. That's where I've kind of got like a sort of two use case for me, and it's kind of when I'm just sitting down more at my day job, just because of the nature of it. Not so much if I'm just sort of plinking around or whatever. But I have a pretty decent i3 setup over top of a Budgie install running on an Amazon EC2 instance. And that's where my corporate desktop comes out of. It's out of Amazon.
Okay.
So.
Ski, what are you running?
Intergos.
Oh, is that what you're running? Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Nothing else.
I got
Dos,
some really
what are you running?
bad light here.
Manjaro.
Windows.
Are you?
All Manjaro, yeah.
Which one?
I'm a huge fan. KDE Plasma.
Are you? How did you get it installed, dude? I want to know.
It's actually it's one I've absolutely fallen in love with. I loved Ubuntu. I know a lot of people in the Linux community give it some problems here and there, say they don't like Ubuntu for whatever reason, but I loved it. I absolutely enjoy it. I still do to this day. It's one of the easiest to install. It always seems to work.
You have NVIDIA, don't you?
Yes, I have NVIDIA. But when I went to Manjaro, I absolutely fell in love with it as well. And the KDE Plasma desktop is just so gorgeous. Everything works from Kdenlive, always has the latest distribution on it, which is something I use for all my video editing and processing. And Steam seems to work flawlessly. But I do hear, because of the rolling releases, that a lot of times things tend to break with Manjaro. I haven't run into it yet. I don't think I've been running it long enough, but I've heard that.
I don't know. Like, if the release cycles are being done properly, like, I've never had a problem with a rolling release. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I just don't think it's quite as big of a deal as some people might think. It depends what you're trying to do, but the reality is like a bug fix can introduce a problem too, and you're getting security fixes and bug fixes all the time. So it's a little bit of
never
philosophy.
happened with Windows.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is
They
the
would-
funny
never have
thing,
any
right?
issues
It's
with
people.
Windows.
People will act like you'll think in the comments like nothing happens with Windows. Meanwhile, I get 2 to 3 calls a week from people asking for tech support because they can't get their Windows machine to work. But it is funny how they seem to forget that a lot about Windows
And that's the
compatibility.
biggest key, which you pointed out, the support. I mean, when your wind blows, computer dies because of an update or a security flaw, what have you. What support do you have? Paid? They have to wait hours for somebody from India to answer your call, or a forum and a Linux distro that'll help you immediately. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
but you know what? In honesty, though, there are a bunch of Windows forums that you can get help. You're not going to get help from a Microsoft, but if you hit the right communities, there actually are quite a few in the Windows world too. So sometimes it kind of gets a bad rap there, but the bigger issue is like, you know, we, everyone seems to have more issues with it, and therefore you're probably going to a forum a lot more. But I find the people a lot more friendly for the most part, with just a smidge of drama. And
Just a smidge.
but
Well,
you
the
know,
one good forum that is out there for Windows is the Windows Club. That's what it's
Yeah.
called, and they are really helpful. When I was running Windows, they were, anytime I posted, they were there helping out, and a couple of the guys even, like there was one guy, and I can't remember, LW, I think his name was Lee Whittington, I think his name was,
Mhm.
and he made certain programs, tweak programs for Windows, and I would, contact him personally back and forth, and he would be so willing to help out, and it was so nice to actually talk to
Yeah.
people that were willing to do that.
I'm a firm believer, right tool, right job, and then there's a certain aspect to that that's going to be what fits your workflow. Like if you're that person that's just straight up comfortable, doesn't have the issues with Windows, and it does what you want it to do, then you know what, more power to you. If you want to be running Linux and you get what you get out of it, whether it's satisfaction from being able to do whatever you want, from not having to worry about certain security issues, whether being able to flip around desktops left, right, and center. Like if you look at everybody's use case, like there are people that are like distro hoppers, right? And
Yep.
then whereas I
Oh,
will be to a point, or I used to be, but now what I really want is I want a distro that has super sane defaults that I can load it and pretty much go. Like I don't want to mess around with it. I just want a solid whatever and get back to my work and or my use or whatever. I don't want to. I end up, if it's a system that needs tweaking, I usually right from the first time I install whatever my distro is on my machine, I'm writing shell scripts right from the get go so that I never have to do it ever again.
But that's one thing that I will say about Budgie, and not because you're here, but that
Mhm.
Budgie has some of the best defaults out there in any system. I mean, the defaults in the panel, the system tray, they have some of the best defaults.
Yeah.
Only
Good
thing
to
that
hear.
stops me from using it is the menu.
The menu. Well, hey, well, I don't know what to say about that one. I mean, you
Yeah.
I
like it or you
say
hate it, and
just because
Right.
you're on the stream. Okay.
yeah, I find for me though, the reason I think the menu doesn't really bother me that much is because I don't use the menu. I tend to be like Alt F2, crack open the launcher, and just type in what I'm going to use.
Right.
I tend to like even like Plank and stuff. Like I shut it down. I get rid of it generally. I don't use the menu. I guess it's almost like a GNOME workflow, but I even used to do that like on.
Gnome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did I mention I'm running Antergos Gnome?
Yeah. Well, you know what? You didn't roll your R, so I'm going to call you on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can't roll my R either, so I can't really call you. I'm just.
But they're
Flinging.
Spanish, so it doesn't. Oh, you're supposed to roll it in Spain? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm Polish and I'm trying to talk Spanish, so give me a break.
It's not working out, huh?
Not well. But the distro is.
It's so funny to hear you guys arguing about this because I get so many comments where it's like people spelling out how I should be saying it.
Yeah.
The video's ruined. You said Ubuntu and it's Ubuntu.
Yeah, right.
So now I get to the point in my videos where I'm like, so now we're gonna review Manjaro, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's literally how my videos.
Mate
like,
or
whatever you-
mate.
I
Like-
usually try to say it the way the developers want to say it, not because okay, like for example, mate, mate. If I'm talking to my dad who runs mate, I will say mate because that's the way he says it, and that's when we're talking. I say mate. But if
Is
I'm
it
doing a
maybe?
video on it, I'm gonna say mate because that's what the developers, that's what they call it. So out of respect for them, that's what I call it. You know, out in public.
And you know what? That's actually a really valid point because I mean, you know, my name's Dustin. If someone's coming up and say, "Hey, Dustin," you know, I'm
Right.
gonna be like, "What the hell?" Like, you know. Oh,
It's
I
on
mean
the
that's
table now.
yeah. GIF.
So yeah, GIF. That's the age-old GIF thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's GIF. I don't care.
Well, you look, you're gonna have people argue to the death.
Yeah.
Either way.
Tomato.
So
Yeah.
you know. Well, okay. So, for example, like they're talking in the chat about mate or mate, and this compro says it's mate, it's not mate yet. You know, Martin Wimpers, who's the lead developer on it, calls it mate.
Yeah.
Yet he even said that he's really not sure. But that's just what they're going with it. So it's like, you know,
Well, who named it? Who named the project? They should dig that guy up and say, "Hey, what's going on? Like, what is it? Settle the bet."
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
you've got years of trying to retrain yourself to say it a different way. Hence, gnome.
Right. But my question is, why do we have to have so many ridiculous names that are unpronounceable or so hard to pronounce?
You want to know why?
Why can't we just
Have
have
you ever-
Fred?
Okay.
Fred would be good.
Have you ever tried to name a package that doesn't have that name existing already?
No, I can honestly say I haven't. So
It's really hard. Like one night we're on Telegram and I was chatting with Ike and he was trying, you know, the ferried package he just released.
Yeah.
He was running through like names on that and he's like, "Oh, it's so hard. Like everything's there. There's this, that, and you're trying to follow a theme." And like he had a bunch of ideas and we were just like kind of going back and forth. And it's like it's hard. It's like even just like, okay, pretend you're going to start a business tomorrow. What do you call it? Like, think
Right.
about this. This is on your business cards. This is your branding. This is
your
everything.
website, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Try to get a
is your-
domain name that's not taken.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And even, you know, they're vanity URLs for a reason. You want to pick a name that you're going to have the URL you want. Like it's rough, and I think that's why. And then you get all these weird acronyms and shortened.
Dustin,
Yeah.
we're not talking about names with 17 syllables. We're talking about mate. We're talking about names with 2 syllables. I mean, can't we nail that down?
Yeah,
Well,
but you
but-
also have the different languages of the different
Exactly.
countries
And
and their different pronunciations. So
Oh.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like if you read something phonetically, right, in your language, like, okay, mate is going to be mate. Absolutely. But then, you know, in another part of the world, it's not. So I think it really comes down to who named it first, and that's sort of the way you go. And then you probably 9 out of 10, you got to have a little about section that explains why you named it, what you named it, because no one will figure it out.
no. Either way, you're going to be told that you're saying it wrong. So just go with one.
And once you're told that, the rest of the things you talked about in your video are completely irrelevant.
Yeah,
They're
right.
worthless, dude.
You know nothing. You're
Right?
where
It's
you
not
obviously
important
didn't
how you
graduate.
pronounce it.
Hey,
Yeah.
me and Rob were talking the other day about the videos, and said what you said about them taking out the cards, where you can't no longer put them little text bubbles in anymore. And it's so hard because you make these videos and you make, say, a 30-40 minute video and you got one mistake in there. And you're not going to go back and redo this whole video just for that one mistake. There's got to be, the YouTube has to come up with a way to replace the bubbles.
Okay,
They have to.
I'm gonna challenge you on this. Do they really? They've eaten the world in that market. Do they really have to do it?
No, they don't. No, they don't have to. They do what they want. Okay,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's a sad state of affairs because when you're trying to make videos and you have one error in there and you know that you're going to be called out on it and there's no way to fix it unless you may remake the whole video.
It's ridiculous, though.
What's really too bad is someone could engineer like kind of a new video sharing site, but the problem is you don't have the viewership, and that's why no one will ever leave. It's like insert messenger name of the month here, and any one of the 25 of them, you're going to have at least 6 of them installed because, your family's on one, your job's on another,
Yep.
open source is on another one, friend from Timbuktu's on another one.
Hey, I've been trying to get everybody I know on Telegram because
Yeah.
I like it out of all of the messaging apps out there. It's the best one, but it's so hard to get people to switch, man.
Yeah, they don't want to. I think it depends on your need. Like the biggest reason that I went Telegram is because of all the Linux stuff. Like that's really why I went there. Before that, I was like, whatever, just sort of used SMS or didn't really use it actually. It's more of an
Right.
email guy, and I hate email. So
Well, yeah. So, what do you guys think of the Ubuntu survey with the GNOME extensions? Do any of you care?
well, yeah, because it's gonna dictate sort of user experience to a distro that's gonna have could potentially be a lot of people's first experience, right? So if I mean, at least historically, Ubuntu was, because it was kind of everywhere and it's pre-installed, and you might have people buying a machine from like Dell or somebody or System 76 and getting Ubuntu out of the box. And so I'd say probably the out of the box experience is kind of important. It'll be interesting to see if there's still sort of that recommendation after the fact, but I think it's important whether you're running it or not.
Well, I was surprised to actually just even see a survey.
Yeah, well,
Because you
they have to, right? Because they're kind of in this precarious. I don't know if I want to use the word precarious, but they're in this position where,
Uncharted water.
yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's uncharted. It's them. It's basically sort of eating crow. Like they went out there one way, and well, I don't even want to say eating crow, but it's like they flipped. They went one way, and now they're coming back, and hopefully for the better. Like what? Excuse me.
well, either way, do you even run GNOME at all ever?
Me?
Yeah, I have in the
Yeah.
past for sure.
Well, I'm the big GNOME user here. I admitted earlier. I'm running
Hey.
Antergos GNOME. Okay, I've been running it for over a year and a half, and
Yeah.
it's rock solid. And I have yet to install an extension. I've used out of the box the extensions that were already installed by my Antergos install. So all the videos and comments I've seen and earlier about not in this stream, but I'm in other things about how you have to extension it out the wazoo to make it work. I don't find that true because I didn't add one extension since I started using it, and I find it fully functional and totally enjoyable.
But that's your workflow. So like even for myself, if I look at what my workflow is traditionally, like I said, I use a launcher. Well, what is GNOME technically default? It's the giant sort of HUD type, key. There it is, search, you get your result. That is my traditional user sort of workflow. And that's what I do on Budgie. And but there's other benefits and things like that. But as far as just out of the box, yeah, I agree with you. I don't need really any extensions. In fact, a lot of them come with things like Dash to Dock, and first thing I do is I turn it off because it's not my workflow. But there are a ton of people where that is their workflow, whether they came from a Mac or they just came to a distro that has sort of that experience out of the box, and that's what they first learned on, and now it's sort of in their, let's call it, in their DNA for their exposure. It's kind of like whatever you first end up on, it's always sort of your first love.
They're trying to recreate their environment that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. So and meet your workflow, because that's, if you're going to be productive, then why not, right? And for you, you're productive on stock. A bunch of people aren't going to be productive on stock. So I mean, back to the original point, I think it's good that they're doing a survey, that they're actually listening to people. I think it's actually good that they're not shipping stock out of the box, because then you're going to kind of try to have a catered, maybe almost expected experience coming back from Unity, right? Because Unity wasn't just, like GNOME straight out of the box.
True. Good point. No, that's a very good point.
And you're never going to please everyone, like not even close.
No matter what you do, no matter what they do, there's going to be a ton of people that like it, and there's going to be a ton of people that don't. I don't care what they do.
Otherwise, there'd be one distro and one desktop.
That's right.
Isn't it amazing though that after they announced that they're discontinuing Unity, how many people started loving Unity more? It seems.
I don't think more people loved it. I think people just started talking about it. I think the people that were using it were probably just a way out. They were just using it and they were just happy with it and it was just there, right? So, and then you also have to remember that there's a large portion of any vendor that had Linux pre-installed that was Ubuntu was just Unity, and maybe they didn't know any different. But now that it's going away, and they've been in the ecosystem for anywhere from however a couple months ago to a couple of years, then they're going to become a little more opinionated and maybe a little more vocal because the only thing they've ever known is going away, right? So.
Okay. So tell
Well,
me, did Marty lose the battle for getting the default?
yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, no, they're not going to make Mate the default.
I mean, as popular as Mate is, I was a little surprised.
You do what I do, cover all audiences.
Yeah, that's right.
Mate.
Well, I don't know. I'm one of those guys that say, Ski, that GNOME is unusable out of the box. That's the way I see it as far as the way I use it. So I do have to install a lot of extensions in order for it to make it work. But I think that's what's great about it is the fact that they even do have the GNOME extensions there. I mean, we did an article on the podcast about 11 things or 11 reasons why you should use GNOME. And there were all kinds of reasons in there. But extensions wasn't even listed in the list. And I couldn't believe it because it's like the one thing that I would say that you would want to use GNOME for is the fact that you can make it anything you want.
Yeah, but if you really want anything you want, then you're probably looking at KDE. Right? Like,
hey, you can make KDE anything you want as well. It's
exactly.
Just the way it is.
That's my point. Well, I'd say that's where it services, Yep. It's super, super flexible.
Das, have you ever run GNOME?
I think through my distribution hopping, I came across it, but I didn't stay long enough to really, I guess, to make an impression on me, right? That I could tell you much about it. But I did so much distribution hopping in that 30 days. There were so many people telling me, "Oh my gosh, you got to try this, you got to try that, you got to try this," and there were a lot of great suggestions in there. But there were distributions that I just didn't get, and maybe like OpenSUSE, people recommended a ton, and maybe there were different desktop environments that I could have downloaded with OpenSUSE that would have made it better or something. But that's one I don't get that a lot of people tell me you got to go try, you're gonna love it. So I did a lot of distro hopping, but I loved the KDE. And I actually liked Unity, so I didn't have any issues with it.
So you're saying that you're newer into using Linux, right? Like, how long have you been using it?
Well, since I guess it's been probably 2 months now, 60 days.
Okay, so you're pretty. So let me ask you this: you're distro hopping a lot. What makes you stop? Is it just the desktop environment? Is there any particular thing? Does any of it have to do with anything like under the hood besides the desktop itself? Like, what sort of makes you land where you're landing?
A lot of times I'll try different environments because so many people passionately recommend to look them out. But I'll tell you the things that make me stop and go, like Manjaro did, Ubuntu Studio did, was being able to use the programs. Because for me, this is the programs that I use without having any issues, interruptions, or problems. The thing that drives me nuts about Ubuntu is it's constantly coming up with system report errors. And I know that's a part of it, and someone told me you could go turn it off. But to me, that's not something I should have to do. And I'm making money off of my daily work here when I'm working. I don't have time to play with system error messages popping up.
Right.
So that's why I left Ubuntu, was because of that. It annoyed me that much.
How many are you getting?
It was probably happening every couple hours. It would pop up with
Really?
System report error, and it wouldn't crash anything. Nothing would ever crash. Everything ran and worked.
Well, but something must have crashed in the background.
I mean, something's happening, right? But it just, and I was just like, I don't need this. But if I go to Manjaro or Mint, I don't have those issues. I don't have the constant system report issues. The gaming
maybe
works
they're
very
just
well.
not reporting.
That's it. It could be. But it's not a fatal enough to get my attention. Maybe I don't care type of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not in. I as much as I love the Linux videos, and I'm learning more about operating systems. And this is, I mean, I made my living engineering computers and stuff for a long time, but not on the Linux side. So I feel
Right.
like I've learned more about an operating system ever in these 60 days than I've known in the 16 years
Hmm.
of doing computers, and that's what I love about Linux. But some things to me are more about I got to get in there and work. I want to use my programs.
Yep.
I don't have time to fidget and play and figure out on forums. Sometimes that's fun when I want to, but otherwise I just want to work.
Right.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier with sane defaults. Like I want to load my distro and basically install my packages, transfer my dot files in out of Git, and go. Like I don't want to sit there and have to manually tweak it all and things like that. You know,
Right,
like
right.
there was like I just it's it's not my passion. You know what I mean? I'd say it's more getting in and kind of the most of the the people and the philosophy behind it is more what's appealing. And like probably the biggest reason I started working in it is because for a long time I've worked with Linux from a server capacity, and I mean, yeah, I've had desktops and stuff, but as a consumer, and I didn't want to be a consumer anymore and to be a contributor. So um, it's but it's the same thing, and that's probably the reason why it took me a long time to get to the desktop, is because I just wanted to turn it on and kind of get to work, and I didn't want to tweak the crud out of everything and spend days doing that, because that can be a rabbit hole. And then I like to have the option there to do it, but I just want to, at this point in time in my life, I just sort of want to load it, go, and forget about it.
Yeah, that's what a second drive or computer is good for. Play
Yeah.
on that one, but you want to work on this one.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. That's the way to go.
I don't know what you guys are talking about with this whole distro hopping thing.
Yeah, you know what? One day we're gonna see a picture of you at the beach with your shirt off, and you're gonna have like every logo tattooed on your
I'm
back.
telling you.
No,
Hey,
we
me
don't
and
want
Rob
to.
found the DHA,
Please
just so
don't.
you know. People around the internet have been co-opting the term, but we founded it.
Oh no.
I think that's
All right.
part of the fun of Linux is the hopping, though. It is enjoyable to be able to try something completely new when you want to, and it costs you nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely, Doss. Absolutely. That's what intrigued me
yeah.
is the flexibility and the options. And there's just so many new things. I mean, Windows is what Windows is. You get what you get, and they force it down you and you get no choice. But Linux, there was just so many options out there and different and so many creative people trying to create different, not just operating systems, but the desktop environments, and then mixing and matching between them. It's just, and the fact that everything's free. Yeah.
and the security and all of that. But which brings me to the thought of that it's a video that I know will alienate half my audience if I do this video, but it's been on my mind and I'm probably going to do it, which is Android is not Linux at all. It's Linux based, but it just has nothing that Linux is supposed to be. It's not secure. It's a complete wild, wild west disaster, in my opinion, when you compare it to something like iOS, which is Unix based. And I just really wish we had a pure Ubuntu or Linux distribution based phone, because I think the market's right.
What's that convergence one that is Debian and it flips over when you, what is it? It's a newer one right now.
What is that, Maro?
Is that what it's called? You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like
I know the one you're
it's
talking
pretty
about.
much the only one that's left. I
Yeah.
think actually.
Give up on conversions, though.
What's that?
Didn't Ubuntu discontinue convergence?
This isn't Ubuntu. This is a completely separate project where it's actually a Debian base, and I think it actually flips over to Android. On the same device, it goes between the two, and you plug it in and Bluetooth it, and then you've got like a full desktop, and then
yeah, it's Maru.
all that kind of. There's a Maru. Okay.
Okay.
Maru.
But see, even there, I only have one phone, so I'm not gonna go flash my main phone with different.
You're gonna distro hop on your phone?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
That's what's gonna happen to all of us. We're gonna be distro hopping. It is funny to me that Android. I see a lot of articles talking about Android. Linux has taken over all of these. the amount of market share that it's taken over, and they use Android a lot. And I just feel like in using an Android, Android is everything but what Linux stands for, and so that's kind of where going.
Philosophy-wise, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Does everybody realize who the guy in the AMD shirt is?
he's
Does
the
everybody
AMD
realize
guy.
that? Come on, Carl, tell him.
Rocco, I know it's not the guy from Belgium,
It's
Alex.
not the guy from Belgium who was smoking cigars, Toss?
Remember, he was naked too.
I'm obviously missing a backstory here.
No.
Last week I told you we did a live show, and it got kind of crazy because there was a guy that joined that he was a Windows user, and he just saw a live stream, so he just decided to join it, and
Couldn't sleep. It was 4 in the morning there.
4 a.m. in Belgium, and he starts lighting a cigar. But I don't think it was a cigar. I think it was more than. I think there was more than a cigar on there.
It was Alex. His name was Alex.
Yeah, it was Alex. Yes, that's what it was. But yeah, no. So Das, you still boot Windows?
I have Windows on my machine, but honestly, it's been a long time. Every once in a while, I jump into it, but I pretty much have gotten so into the Linux community that because I game a lot on my machine, that if they don't port it to Linux, I don't play it, and that's a big philosophy change of where I used to be back in the day. So I don't spend a lot of time in Windows at all, and it's kind of funny because, like I said, when I started the Linux challenge, I never intended to stay with Linux, and now I barely touch Windows. I have to for work, so I do a lot with work with my main PC together. But it's there.
Do
I'm
you
lucky.
find that there's a program that you need that you can't find on Linux to do the same?
That's what was amazing about the community, because when I started the videos, which at the time I had like 25 followers, so I didn't think anybody even cared. I was happy when 2 people would watch a video I made. So, which is quite a bit different now. But these folks from the Linux community just started pouring in, and I would say stuff in my videos like, "Okay, we're on my 10th day of challenge, and I need something to replace OneNote or whatever," and they would come up with all of these different options, and I would try some of them and hate them, and try some of them and love them. But I think the community was so excited to have a new member that they built that. So there's nothing that I've actually have found that I have to go back to Windows for now. What I miss is Adobe Premiere, because while I love Kdenlive, it's a great program. It does have its quirks where you'll be in the middle of a 2-hour edit and it just shut down or something like that. Whereas they didn't have that as much, or I don't remember having that. You have short-term memory in Windows. Remember having that problems in Premiere. But it's not something that's like a deal breaker. And I've been using some other programs like Blender and things, which are a lot more stable for video editing and stuff. But ultimately, no. The only reason I boot back into Windows is for gaming.
Games.
Game. Yeah.
That's always the keeper.
It
Always
always
the
is.
one.
Yep.
Honestly, the one that got me for a long time was just email. I hate email clients so much, and it's
you
a
ain't
necessary
lying.
evil. And
Hey, Evolution's pretty nice in Gnome.
sorry, which one?
Evolution.
Oh, Evolution. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used it, but my biggest gripe actually wasn't so much the clients themselves. It was the interaction between the feature set I wanted on my desktop and on my phone at the same time. Like, I'm a habitual inbox zero guy, and like I use a lot of like the swipe to delay stuff.
Yep.
So until I could get that on both, it was just driving me nuts. And then oddly enough, I looked at, again, this comes back to what your workflow is, and I made the decision that I put my stuff on Gmail and use the inbox interface for the webmail, and I use the inbox app on my phone, and at least I've got the same thing, and it works for me until something better comes along. I'm not necessarily happy to be there, but it's at least I can kind of, same thing, I can get my work done. I can kind of have everything I need to do. And I used to run mail servers for years, and I don't want to do that anymore. I got other things to do, and interests are changing, and I get enough of that kind of stuff at work running infrastructure. I don't need to do it at home just for like 3 email accounts. It's, so I just want things to kind of work the way I want them to work.
Toss, can you hear us? I don't know if he has his volume up or not.
Muted. I see the mute symbol.
Yeah, he's definitely muted, but I don't know if he hears us or not.
Does he know his camera's on?
Does he know I'm squishing his head right now?
Well, there always seems to be one program or, one thing that keeps people from leaving Windows altogether. And for me, like I said, it's the gaming because, Battlefield 1's never going to come to Linux.
Like I said, just do what I do. Have such a crappy GPU, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh,
I can't do that. Dude, come on. I would love to upgrade even to a 1080, but the 1080s are so expensive. Oh my gosh.
I was like, I'm gonna get a 1080, and then I've talked myself down to a 1060 now. I'm like, the 1060 is better than what I have now, and then so
the 1080
I don't
is
know.
so much overkill. It's unbelievable. It's like you'll play these games. It's funny the games you play with it too. Like sometimes I'll be playing these, very low end graphic games. That's why I probably spend most of the time on. I'm like, I got this 1080 card playing this game at 250 frames per second. What's the point?
Well, I would like to know how much of a difference there is between the 1070 and the 1060, because I would love to upgrade, but I'm surely not going to be able to afford a 1080. But a 1060 seems to be just a little bit. It doesn't seem to be worth the upgrade, is what I'm saying, from what I have on a GTX 960. So,
what
I'm
about
just trying to figure out. Go ahead.
What about just throwing it in SLI mode? Like, do you have room in your motherboard to throw another 960 in there and SLI?
Yeah,
that
I
thing?
do.
You'd probably get a ton out of that. Like, you probably wouldn't even need to go and buy, and you could probably go pick up another 960. That's how come I kind of talked myself into a 1060, is because you can go get one for about 300 Canadian, and I'll start with that because then at least I've got something, and then later I could just add another 1060 in there and just kind of run that way, and then you're sort of future proofed in a weird way. And I guess it also comes down to what your expectations are for minimal frame rate. Like what are you running now and what do you want? Like I'm happy if I'm over 60. I'm easy.
I would like to. Okay, my whole goal when I game is I want to experience the game the way the developer intended it to be. So when I play Battlefield 1, I can't play at the highest settings.
Yeah.
Okay. And not that I have to have the highest settings, but when it's like this, when I play, I'm playing and you see the graphics and everything. But
Yeah.
when I watch videos of guys playing and I see it at ultra graphics, and when a shell goes off near you and it basically blurs the whole screen. Okay.
Right.
So I've been playing this game for I don't know how long and didn't even realize that happened because on my video card it doesn't do that. So it's like, oh my gosh!
Stop watching those videos, Ron.
So what I'm saying is, I just want to play it. I want to play it at the highest settings because I want to experience it the way it was supposed to be.
Right.
It was meant to be. So
sense.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if a 1070 or a 1060 would be worth the upgrade. But now let me ask you this: you said about getting another one and a 960 and putting it in an SLI, but I haven't checked into it completely, but I remember background noise of people having trouble with SLI in Linux.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that. I was just sort of thinking more along the lines of how do I get more juice, and probably oversimplifying it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of issues I've heard with it. I haven't tried to do it myself, and that's one of the reasons why I went with the 1080 instead of doing an SLI, is because I've seen a lot of issues with it in Linux. But when you're talking about playing the game as the manufacturer designed, when I got the 1080 and I put Doom in Linux in ultra nightmare settings, which is their freakish settings, and you could watch the video, I literally geek squeal. I mean, it's because you're doing 140 frames per second on a mode that the developers are let's see if you can run this, jerk. And the thing's just screaming. The cart's not even heating up. The fan's not even spinning faster.
Right. It's not even sweating.
Yeah, and it was just...
You are, but not the cart.
Yeah, and I was just squealing oh my gosh. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I keep looking at them, but then I'm like, well, that's half the cost of the laptop I want, so...
Yeah.
And then I looked at eGPUs, and then that even doubles that out. By the time you drop the I guess Canadian. It's like almost $1,000 for the GPU enclosure, and then if you're going to drop in on like a 1080 or 1080i, then you're looking at another grand. Then all of a sudden, I'm like $2,500 on an enclosure and a card, and I haven't even got the machine to plug it into yet.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know. I like I said, Dos, do you know about the 1070s or the 1060s? How much of an upgrade it would be?
I've heard amazing things about the 1070. A lot of folks that I know who've got the 1070 that game a lot have very similar experiences. In fact, they comment on my video saying, "Oh, you're squealing about 140 frames per second. I got the 1070 and I'm running 120 or something." So, I mean,
Right.
at that point, what are you really gaining, right? An extra 10 frames per second. The other thing that was a big upgrade for me, though, when you get this video card that I didn't pay attention to a lot was the monitor you use, because most of the monitors I had were 60 hertz, and so you're kind of missing that whole feeling in the frames per second. So when I upgraded the 144, created a whole new experience. It's just an endless grab for money.
It
You
is.
can't upgrade
It is.
enough.
It's
But the
totally about the
monitor
money,
makes a
dude.
difference. It definitely makes a difference.
Jeez.
But the higher you go with the monitor, the more it puts a play on your graphics card too.
Yeah.
You know, when you start going 4K, you have to have a graphics card that can handle that. Otherwise, it's worthless.
You're almost better to stick around like 1080p or just at like a smaller monitor, even.
That's where I am.
Way more. Like, you know, I think if you had like a good, decent, like even like 21-inch monitor and running like ultra mode and like as high as you can go, and then your graphics card isn't choking out just based trying to push pixels,
Right.
you know.
Exactly why I'm not going to watch your guys' videos of those games, because I don't want to see what I'm missing.
You know what? I'll record one and I'll make you feel good, because you'll definitely be able to. No, you'll definitely be able to have better than I got.
You're like,
Hey,
wait
look,
a minute, they're not stick figures in that game?
I just thought I had like Call of Duty
Wait,
Minecraft.
there's
If-
trees
Games
there?
don't look
There's
like
bushes?
hidden folks.
No wonder these guys can shoot me through the smoke.
Yeah, Battlefield looks like Minecraft.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but it just seems to me that you're right, Dos. It's all about the money, and that's why we don't have. To me, that's why we don't have games coming to Linux, because it's all about the money. You know, the developers out there, they don't want to develop for Linux and put that extra time and effort into developing it for Linux with the little payoff of the amount of people that actually use it. Now, I would pay for, obviously I would pay for Linux games, but the amount of people that use Linux, it's just not there as far as a big piece of the pie when you're talking about development of games and millions of dollars.
Well,
That's
I think
why
a
we
lot
need
of
more
it's
people like
changing.
DOS
Yeah.
to experience and enjoy and find out how great it is and expose more people.
That was
We
the
need
big
more
thing
people.
that I wanted to do with the series when I started it, was to show people Linux on the highest end machine out there, which is what I was running at the time, highest I could afford anyway. And so, it was the i7 6700 DDR4 NVMe hard drives, the best money could buy, because every video I had watched up to that was, look how you can take an old Dell Optiflex, dual core and make it new with Linux. And I thought, well, if Linux is going to compete, can it really compete? Can it compete in the best hardware
Exactly.
at the top of the line? And it did. And so now it's a matter of, why aren't the manufacturers doing it? Well, market share is a big piece of that, obviously, but I think there's a lot of monopolizing in the gaming market as well. And Steam has helped break through that. And I think Vulkan is the next piece that's going to break through that even further, because once you allow a manufacturer to write for Windows, but easily port it over into Linux or any other operating system, I think you're going to see a lot of that happening. And that's what we're starting to see. Games like Albion Online, which are coming out for 6 or 7 platforms on release date. And that's really unique. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Hopefully.
Well, I'm not an expert in the Vulkan
Yes.
area, but I think that's definitely something that the more games that are developed for that will open that up. And Warhammer 3 is coming out, and they announced that they're going to have Vulkan support as well. So it's definitely a good thing.
Yes.
So what games do you play, Dust?
Oh my gosh, I hop around so much. That's such a loaded
We have
question.
time for this?
Let me load Steam here real quick. And tell
Yeah,
you
what's
what
in your Steam library?
let's see.
Just go to Steam and filter for Linux. There you go.
Yeah. 12 is better than 6 is a Western game that I've been playing, which is just a violent top-down Western shooter. Ballistic Overkill is so cool, and they just ported it to Vulkan, by the way, and it runs gorgeous on Manjaro. Super
Hold
fast.
on, I'm writing these down.
Ballistic Overkill is great, and it's very good to test out. A lot of people like those shooters, the tournament shooters. Ballistic Overkill is a fantastic tournament shooter that's out for a lot of platforms and runs fantastic with Vulkan.
What's the best blow 'em up game you got?
I gotta look it up here.
Let's see here.
I like blowing things up.
I like blowing things up. I love it.
I got that from that Belgium guy. He loved it.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, Doom. Doom is probably one of my favorite games to play in Linux. Now, it does require wine, but it's not a config. You don't have to mess with it because it's really you just enable the Vulkan in the beta test within Steam.
I like blowing things up. I don't want anybody whining about it.
Okay. Serious Sam 3 is a good one for just blowing junk up.
Serious Sam.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny too.
Serious Sam.
The Middle Earth Shadows of Mordor I've been playing lately.
That's awesome.
Shadow Warrior is a really funny game to check out. That's a shooter / kind of Japanese style samurai warrior, go around cutting people, hacking them up. All that fun.
What's that to love?
Yeah, and it's a pretty graphical game out there too. It's a lot of fun. So that would be the most recent ones that are still installed on my.
Well, Alien Isolation plays on Linux out of the box.
That's right. Yep.
So that's definitely a good game.
Hey, I got CSGO. That's about all I got.
CSGO.
Hey, CSGO works, man.
I bought that. What was that? I bought that Day of Infamy the other day too.
Well, I watched English Bob's videos all the time, and he talks about the European Truck Simulator.
Trucking.
And I always looked at that, and I'm like, and the one day I was there, and I'm like, American Truck Simulator, it was like just like a few dollars, and I'm like, okay. So I tried it, and I drove truck before, so it was kind of like a little bit of something there, and I'm like, I actually enjoyed playing it. I mean, it's not an exciting game. I mean, it's not, you're just driving and you're basically just trying to, follow the road laws and not run into anything. But I actually had fun playing it. I was surprised.
You realize you're one step away from Goat Simulator, right?
Wow.
Well, that's why I was so surprised, because I'm like, I can't believe I'm playing this game, because but after you just start playing and you just keep on playing, it was fun.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right.
Well, Half-Life 2 is like one of my all-time favorite games, and that plays on Linux too. So that you can blow things up. Ski.
What's this goat one?
Are you serious? Okay, just go Google it. Goat Simulator. It's a legit game. It's on Steam. My son has it and stuff like that. And I was watching him play it one day, and I'm just like, what the? I can't even say it. Like, I was just like, what are you playing? Like, oh, Goat Simulator. I'm like, what do you do? You're a goat. Oh, all right. Have fun. And then
did you get arrested for that?
I guess it depends what you're doing to the goat, but
right.
I won't go there.
Where you live, I don't know. Maybe the guy in Belgium, but not me.
Yeah.
Metro is another game, another
Metro.
shoot 'em up type game. Like, I don't know, some of it's adventure type thing, but
I was actually watching Don't Call Me Lenny, and I don't mean Don't Call Me Lenny, but Lenny.
Are you calling me Lenny?
Not you, but the Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
He said he was checking out the trucking, the American Simulator Truck Simulator, and he said he saw the videos of English Bob, and he wasn't really interested, but he tried it, and he said he's hooked. He's like he's already paid off his truck in American.
Ski, don't try it. Don't try it, because
he's
you're
already
gonna be
paid
hooked.
off his truck in the American one, and he's now trying to pay off his truck in the European one. So I'm like, if Lenny fell in love with it, I don't know. Maybe they're running over goats. I don't know.
I'm not saying that this is like the best game ever. It's it's not
It
an
sounds
exciting
like
game, but it's fun. It's
Now,
actually
did you get the
fun to
steering
do.
wheel controller and shifter? And...
It
right.
has, options to have controllers and stuff, but I don't have any controllers to use, so I just use the keyboard and mouse.
I saw a whole video of the accidents they have with it.
Well, I mean, you got to watch for people pulling out in front of you. I mean, you got to park the thing. I mean, you got to make runs. You got to make them on time. I mean, like I said, it's not no exciting, oh my gosh, nail biting game.
The
Something's going to jump
crashes
out and
I've
you got
seen
to
are
shoot his
pretty
head off. But
exciting.
I'm sitting here watching the preview video going, they're showing a truck driving by in slow motion. Like, what?
yep. I said
And
you're
that's
not going
the
to.
action-packed part.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
That's as exciting as we get.
Right?
Yeah, wow.
Whoa!
Driving
Slow
trucks.
it down, buddy. Slow it. Hey, I
And
got pulled over by not pulled over, but I got ticketed from a cop because I was going too fast.
I'm sitting here looking at it, and they want $30 Canadian for it.
Yep. Well, this was on sale, and I was like, like I said, it was one of those things where I see the videos all the time, but I'm like, and then, wow, hey, you
I'm
won't
getting
know
it.
until you try it, I guess.
I'm getting it. I'm gonna start running over things. They'll blow up.
But is it? But it does play out of the box for Linux, just so you know.
All right. All right.
Oh, hey, they've got some sort of bundle here that has Euro Truck and American Truck, and it's bundled for a mere $113.
Well, that's ridiculous.
I'm trying to figure out what the other ones are.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's like what, $3 US?
$3.
I'll buy it through Belgium. I'll get it.
There you go.
Well, Left 4 Dead 2 is a zombie game if you're interested, Ski.
That's a great
that plays on Linux.
Zombie ones, I don't know. I have nightmares after playing that.
Well, does anybody play Rocket League?
Yeah.
Is it like I see? I have the same feeling with American Truck Simulator, I had with American Truck Simulator. I look at it and I'm like, I cannot believe that you would have fun playing this game.
It is insanely fun. It is one of the most fun games out there. The problem is I played it when it first came out and had a blast. Then all these people who are actually good at games started coming in and playing it. And now if I try to play, it's just like, they're like, get off my team, you loser. And I'm like changing my name from Das Geek so they don't find my YouTube channel and hunt me down, and give me thumbs down to all my videos. So you want to play with some friends that won't judge you, because these people are good at this game. It's
what
like
you don't
CSGO.
know, they're all like 65-year-old ex-truck drivers.
Yeah.
They all come from Euro Truck.
No slam, Rocco.
No slam. Did he say I was 65? Is that what he said?
What? I'm missing something here. I'm not calling anyone out. I got gray there. I'm not far behind.
Oh, please.
That's the time, Das, that everybody that I talk to about Rocket League says the same thing. Like I look at it and I'm like, I can't believe it's fun. And they say the same thing. I didn't think so either, but as soon as I play it, it's awesome. So I don't know. Maybe some point I'll get it and play it.
Definitely check it out. Just use a name that they can't hunt you down.
Can you play that single player, or is that pure multiplayer?
I don't remember if it had single player. I'm pretty sure it's only multiplayer, but the chat might know. Someone in the chat may know.
Okay. Because obviously the truck driving is single player.
You mean there's no co-pilot?
The co-pilot hands you a Pepsi. That's your whole
right.
Here, have a 5-hour energy.
Actually, co-pilot comes up in a blocker car and it's smoky.
Yeah.
We just got a game.
break your good buddy.
Well, there you go, Ski. Tomb Raider. Team Fortress 2 is another shoot 'em up game, blow 'em up game.
Team Fortress.
TF2
Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
TF2 is a gateway to a lot of great games. It's a really fun game.
Okay.
Low graphics, nothing fancy, but just pure multiplayer.
You making fun of my AMD card again?
He's just politely telling you that it's going to work for you, Ski.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Now, you might have to put some ice coolers near that AMD or a fan blowing directly on it.
Wow.
That's funny.
Okay.
But you know what? I have a lot of games in my library, including games that play on Linux, and that I have yet to even play hardly at all. I mean, I got Spec Ops: The Line. I have Red Orchestra, um, and these all play on Linux, and yet I have not had the time or whatever to install them and play them. I'm too busy distro hopping.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
says. Really, if you in any forums they make fun of the Steam sales and say, oh, I have so many games I've never played, and I'm the same way. I look at my Steam OS for Linux, and I've got 86 games here. And so when people, when I'm doing game videos, and they're like, "Yeah, but does Linux run this specific game?" They always name some game and to say why they can't go to Linux or Linux is crap because it doesn't have this game. I'm like, we all have to be sitting on 80 plus, 20 plus games we've not even touched. And everybody talks about that. And so there's so much to play that's actually out there right now. So unless you're just looking for the AAA title or have to have the latest game, there's so much to play and have fun with it.
You got to do a marathon, see how fast you can get through your 86 games to completion.
That's a really good
Right.
idea for some videos right there.
Yep. Well, I only have 42 in the Steam OS and Linux, but half of them I haven't played on Linux. So
I got 3, and they all follow a pattern.
What's
CSGO,
the pattern?
CSGO, Day of Infamy, and Insurgency.
There you go. First-person shooters.
Yep. And they're all supposed to be lower res. That's why I bought them, hoping that I could play them, and then they still didn't play worth a crap. So.
Oh my gosh. You got 2, Ski?
Yeah, I only got 2.
What are they?
Hidden Folks and Out of the Park 18.
Out of the Park 18. What the heck is that?
Baseball.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I'm going to Google that right now.
We got to get you loaded up on some games.
In Windows land, before I went I had all the Blizzard games.
Yep.
I bet I was a huge StarCraft 2. Basically all I played forever and ever. So I loved my StarCraft. I used to play Command and Conquer, that whole series.
StarCraft, Command and Conquer, those are fantastic games.
Yeah, I can't get any Blizzard games to work on Linux, and I gave up trying. And you know what? I beat it so many times. I'm like, you know what? It's time to move on anyhow.
Yes, there's always American Truck Simulator.
Yeah.
If you could take the action.
Yes. Yeah. It might be a little intense for you.
5-year-old retired truck driver, so I'm ready for it.
Oh my gosh.
I'll actually be 60 this year, so I'm close.
Yeah, William mentions Humble Bundle out there in the chat, and that's really a fantastic site if you guys aren't aware.
Stumblebugs?
Humble Bundle.
Humble Bundle?
Yeah, it's a site that allows you to pretty much, a lot of times they give you packages where you just pay whatever you want, and they're games that have been out for a while, but you can get a lot of games acquired through Humble Bundle. Sometimes they're free. Sometimes it's donate what you want to get these 5 games. Sometimes
older
they give
programs,
you a suggested.
So you're picking on my card again.
Well, let's be honest. There's only so much. Yeah. Humble Bundle. That's a great suggestion.
It is
for the old guy.
Yep. Actually, Stellaris was one of the games in the last one that just came out. June's Humble Bundle.
Mm-hmm. That's a new game, though.
Yep.
It didn't look like my card could handle that. I looked at the requirements, and it said not you.
Denied.
It said denied.
It just says go to sleep.
Yeah. It was a big red X there, System requirements. Nope.
CanIRunIt.com.
Yeah.
404 not found.
It looked like it would take years of your life to try and, I don't know. It looked too complicated for me. I like just, point, shoot, blow them up.
Well, a lot of games
Mario
too
Kart.
they become an investment because they aren't just click and shoot type games. So, you have to spend hours and hours, and that's what kind of draws me away from certain games because I don't have hours and hours to put into these games.
Yeah.
And I don't even play half the games I got. You know what I mean? So to put hours and hours into them is just sometimes a turnoff. So
it's like, why did I get Out of the Park 18? That's one of those games. I'm afraid to open it because I know there's the rest of my life is gone in that game.
Sims, Civilization.
Yeah, right.
That's why I like Hidden Folk so much. It's just, it's kind of like a mahjong or a solitaire game. You just open up, play as long as you want. I mean, it's simple, Find the hidden folks and
You're a solitaire guy, are you?
well, I do like that mahjong, See, well,
Minesweeper.
That's right.
I give up on that.
Minesweeper's awesome, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I do play chess with myself.
Yeah, right.
How does that work?
Who wins?
Yeah, I'm gonna win one of these days.
One of these days you're gonna win.
I'm gonna have to bounce off here soon, Rocco. Though I gotta go put my kids to bed here.
Dig it.
So
well, it was awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You'll have to come back.
Just let me know when.
Thanks for visiting.
All right. See you guys.
See you.
Have a good night.
So what are you working on, Das? What videos you working on, man?
Plex has been is one I'm thinking of starting a whole series on, just because we've been messing with some Plex on Raspberry Pi 3, so setting up media servers and those things on this little bad boy here, which is quite impressive. Runs Jesse Linux on this little Raspberry Pi, and from there Plex and Kodi, and so doing some stuff with Plex, and getting a lot of manufacturers coming to me to do some hardware reviews and stuff like headsets and that type of thing. So kind of mixing it up, trying to get a lot of variety videos out there.
Cool.
Right. Yeah. Well, I do have a couple of videos that I was going to do, but with the podcast and actually with the live shows, I did one yesterday and then tonight, I haven't had a whole lot of time to to actually do specific videos. And me and Dustin were talking earlier that it's kind of one of those things where I can't just sit down and do a video. I want it to be right. So when you do, and especially with Linux videos, if you don't do it exactly right, you hear about it. And so there'll be times where it takes me 30 takes to do a video because it's just not right, or I didn't say it right, or I'm going through the settings of this area and it's not flowing right or whatever. So it's not a simple process to make the videos, and I just find myself having less and less time to actually sit down and do them.
I think that's part of the problem is I got beat up a lot doing Linux videos because I was new. But I got more love than I ever got beat up, by the way. Important to say that. But I did get some mail and stuff that's like, man, made me think twice. At the end of the day, I stopped really focusing so much on being right, because half the time when people would be passionately say, oh, you're wrong, it's blah, 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 whatever they were mad about, I would go read 1,000 articles that were contrary to what they were saying anyway. So sometimes I was right, plain wrong, and they were right. And people say it nicely. And sometimes people, you know how they are, they'll get on your channel and say, oh, you're a moron. Your mother should have never had you born. Like, okay, I get it, guys.
You're on the internet.
So you didn't like the video, huh?
Yeah. So at a point, it's almost like people tune in, and I've converted so many people have told me I converted them to Linux. That makes me feel successful. So whether my videos are on par with a lot of the experts in Linux or not, I'm not as concerned with that anymore, as long as the passion is seen through and people understand what I'm trying to do, which is show individuals that you can use Linux for anything. There is no limits to what it's capable of. And
Doss, what's your channel?
It's DOS Geek channel. But there's really no limits to what you can do with Linux. And what I try to get across to people as well is my career, my background for 17 years is in telecom networks. And what people don't realize is everything you're using is running on some form of Linux, not a major infrastructure like telecom towers, and the servers behind them are all running a version of Unix or Linux based systems, and people don't understand that. So I've had exposure to it because of my career, but I've never used it from a consumer level or on a regular basis. So again, I think it's just one of those things where it's your passion that people are looking for in the videos, not necessarily you always being right. So
Sure.
don't let it hold you back. Get those videos out there and don't worry so much
What
about
took
being
you
right.
so long to convert?
Well, that's like I said earlier with the I try to put like the green screen up, and because I want it to look as professional as it can be. And but then when you do the videos with the green screen, you don't really want to go back to videos that don't have it. So it's like you get to a certain point and you don't want to go backwards any. And it's always, I expect the videos to be at a certain level. So I really wish I could just sit down and just make a video, even without me being in it, and just make a tutorial video. And if it's got mistakes in it, just let it go out. But that's hard to do with, that's hard to do, man.
Yeah,
It's not
I
easy.
know, perfectionist. I can tell. I've got a green screen too. It's sitting in my closet, and you can see in my earlier videos, which are horrible, so don't go back too far. But you can see the green screen and all that. And now it's just I work for a living too. I do these videos, like probably you do for fun and for the community and stuff. So I invest a lot of time making the videos I make, but things like being perfect backgrounds and all that, or if I say the word wrong, I'm just not going to spend too much time as long as the core message isn't wrong or I'm not missing some major thing. And believe me, the community will tell you right away if you do.
Oh yeah.
Well, those are some good words. Maybe I'll just try to back off a little bit as far as trying to make it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No, those are great words, Doss. You nailed it. I mean, and that's why I love watching you guys, is because despite the bad reports you get back, you still continue on. You don't let that phase you. Like I know I hate to keep bringing them up, but English Bob, is kind of like left the channels because he got tired of the negative responses he would get. He got tired of it. He's like, hey, I thought I'm bringing a service to everybody, and everybody. I'm tired of the negative responses, and it's just not worth it. And he just kind of lost. He got it disenchanted,
I think a
And
lot of people probably lose their
right.
gumption over that, but
And
it's
I appreciate you guys, fighting through that, because you are getting across. Believe me. I mean, there are many like me that totally enjoy what you guys are bringing across and look forward to it and want to learn more and want to hear more and and appreciate the opportunities to get involved. Just interacting with you guys. It's awesome.
yeah, I agree. I think I found more and more the more videos I make that people are more interested in the community, what you're doing for a community, and
Yes.
you than necessarily exactly what you're talking about. And it just goes to show with the Linux videos, because in a lot of cases I didn't know what I was talking about. I was just going through the motions, and they were there helping me, but it was building a community. Then I see them start talking to each other in the chat, and they start making friends in there and giving each other
Yeah.
their Steam IDs. And
Yeah.
so now we're building a community, and
Yeah.
it's not so much about a perfect video that I'm releasing where I give you every perfect detail on Linux, as much as
Right.
it is that when you come to my channel, you feel like a fellow geek is there with you, and you're
Yeah.
free to talk about
Exactly.
whatever you want.
Totally relate and love hearing you. You just come on, man. You're human
Yeah.
just like me.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
Yeah.
Bring
geek
it up.
life.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, I put a link to your channel, Das,
Oh, thank you so much.
in the chat, because it's one of the channels that I started watching that it was like real. You know what I mean? Like the videos that you make were real. It was down to earth
Oh,
person talking about what he loved to do, and that's what makes you could there's 1,000 channels out on YouTube, and they're just doing it for money, they're doing it for fame or whatever, and you can tell it comes through when you're actually doing it just because you love doing it, and that's what your channel has.
Yes.
thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I want to subscribe, Do I have it here? Where do I have it? Well, I wrote it down. DOS Geek. Got it. I'll find it.
But if it wasn't for Linux, I don't even think my channel would be on the map. And that's what's so unique, I think, about Linux. And that's what made it so exciting. The one thing when you talk about being real is the excitement that I had in those videos it was completely genuine, because you're also seeing my excitement of my channel growing as I'm making these videos. Like, wow, I've got 100 people who subscribe. I got 200 people who subscribe. People care.
Totally.
Right. Carl, you're back.
I'm back.
Who's back?
Carl.
Oh, good dinner.
Yeah.
You were making AMD great again.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Come on, man. You got to get up with the times and get an NVIDIA card.
Is it the two AMD folks on the bottom and the two NVIDIA guys on the
What?
top? Yeah.
Cards don't come with any anal lube, I don't think, right?
Well. Dude,
Wow.
the NVIDIA drivers just...
Good.
They're hit and miss in Linux. It's just enough to drive me nuts, man. It's just enough to drive me nuts, because it depends on which distribution you go with. What's that?
The support is always there, and how to get them, where to get them, and how to install them, right?
Well, I mean, depending on where you go, they'll have an additional drivers program in the system settings or something like that. But even on Arch, you can get the latest drivers for them. But it just seems like, if you install the NVIDIA drivers on Windows, it's not like they're problem-free, because there's been many problems with the NVIDIA drivers on Windows. But for the most part, it just runs. Okay, and in Linux, it's a little bit different as far as you run the games fine, but it's the messing with the operating system itself, with the window manager, that is the problem. It's not the actual gaming part of it. It's the window manager part of it that just drives me nuts.
But it's just the opposite with AMD in Linux. Okay?
I don't know. I've never experienced it.
You can't do any games. The system will run. Okay? Unless you want to do something like surf the web. Oh, screen tearing. Sorry. Oh, you want to play a game? Nuh-uh.
You guys just need better equipment.
Is that what it is? Come on, man.
I play Hitman at 100 frames a second on an RX 480, 70 frames a second probably.
RX 480.
It works fine. Works great.
RX 480. I have a HT 5770. Where am I going?
You need to get an RX 480.
Nowhere.
We don't know which. You're playing Euro Trucker for the rest of your life.
I don't even know. I think the tractor trailer would stutter even on that.
I don't know where it goes with my truck. That's what I got.
There's always Minecraft.
Minecraft. See?
I mean, the 480 is a beast. How do you like that card?
It's good. I haven't had any issues with it. It runs nice and cool. It's an MSI version. It's good. I've been happy.
Okay, well, that brings up a question. Like, what do you guys normally... Do you gravitate to a certain company for video cards? Like, I mean, obviously, I run NVIDIA, but I gravitate towards EVGA because I've had the least amount of problems with those cards. Das?
I probably gravitate towards NVIDIA's cards, but I've had a lot of AMDs over the years. In fact, the build before this was completely AMD.
Yeah, but I mean, who makes the card?
Oh, as far as the manufacturer.
Yeah.
EVGA is my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Ski, do you know the manufacturer? Was there a manufacturer on your card?
You know, why did I know you were going to pick on me?
I'm just teasing you, man.
Look it. Okay, look it. This is my computer. It's 7 years old. See,
it belongs in a museum.
What do you mean? It cranked on Windows. What's wrong with this thing?
It doesn't. Wait a minute. That is fake news, Ski. That thing cranked on Windows. That's totally fake news.
Cranked on Windows. Windows 3.11. It's
Come on, it came with Windows 7.
Man, it plays solitaire like no tomorrow.
Oh, it's an 8-core processor. i7.
I'm sure it's great. Well, Chip brought up in the.
I'm not feeling love here.
in the chat about Steam, and he said about he's having problems with Steam and Manjaro. So that's one of the reasons why I don't install and play a lot of the Linux games is because I am distro hopping a lot, and from distro to distro, the Steam install process and the Steam folders don't exactly play well together. So like I'll install it on say Ubuntu Gnome, and then I'll jump to say whatever Mate, and I'll go to install Steam, and it will have all these errors until I actually delete the Steam folders, and then you kind of lose your games. And even if you copy the folders back over, it still has trouble. So I don't know if you guys have ran into that, but that's one thing that I've ran into from distribution to distribution.
Nope, can't say I have.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
What?
I haven't had any issues with Steam and Manjaro in playing any games yet. I will say though, to your point, that if I want something to work right away, it's pretty much Ubuntu will always out of the box work with everything. If something's broke, like Albion Online,
NVIDIA.
it's not a Steam game. I was trying to get it to work in Manjaro. They had a package it's not really made for it. The manufacturer didn't release it for Manjaro or for Arch. But there's ways that, of course, the Arch community has figured out to make it work. But I have so many hard drives that I can boot to. I just booted to Ubuntu, put in Albion Online. It works immediately. And that's pretty much my experience with Ubuntu out of the box. I don't know why it gets a lot of hate in the Linux community in some places, but it definitely is one of those distros that just plain works pretty much across the board. You install it and you can go.
Well, I never gave Unity a thought, and I had said it before that I had made a video the day before they decided to switch to GNOME. So that video is still sitting on the hard drive unedited. But what I'm saying is I have installed it recently, and since I had Elementary OS running, I switched from that to Ubuntu. I've been running Ubuntu for a couple days now, which is a pretty long time for me. And
practically married to it.
I'm telling you, it's actually okay. It's not that bad. I've always made fun of Ubuntu because it's it's an easy target.
Bad. What a great selling point. Not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's really not. I mean, there are good things about it. I'm not saying it's great, but there are good things about it that I would have never given it credit for before had I not run it.
Windows XP is not that bad.
No, it was pretty bad. Windows 7 was not that bad.
Windows Me. Anybody remember that?
Oh my gosh, that was terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was absolutely terrible. That was about as good as Vista when it came out.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I think ME might have been worse, though.
Yeah.
98? What about?
98 was okay.
98 worked fine for me. I mean...
Was that even a real release?
That was actually one of the more solid releases.
Yeah, it was.
It was?
Yeah, 98 was actually decent.
Enough for me to install it. I think I went
pretty
from
powerful.
1 right to 7.
7 was good towards the end. It was when it first came out, it wasn't so good. Towards the end, it got a lot better. Then the 8 came, and they tried to take away the start button.
My
and
gosh,
what a joke that is! And now with 10, it's like you have 4 different GUIs to get to your control panel. Which one do you want? Then some of them will have some. I mean, it's just Windows 10 killed itself, and I really think that's why a lot of people are that and the privacy issues looking towards Linux more and more than ever before. Because of the privacy issues and also because Windows 10 just being sloppy. So sloppy.
Yeah, I was dual booting with I still had my Windows 10 going and my Intergos. And when I switched over to my Windows 10 to play my games, my Blizzard games, all of a sudden all the peripherals went dead. I have an illuminated keyboard, mouse, everything. All the lights went out webcam. All the lights went out. Mouse didn't work. Keyboard didn't work. Nothing worked. And reboot, nothing. I couldn't bring it back. Couldn't resuscitate it. Mm-hmm. I tried CPR, nothing. So that was the last of Windows.
Yep. They make it easier and easier not to boot back in.
Creators Update did that.
Well, I was in the middle of playing. I only had about maybe 45 minutes to play before I was going to head to bed. And I decided to jump on, play some Battlefield. I get in, and of course, anytime you're playing Battlefield, it's probably a 10-minute process just to get actually to the playing part, from the loading of Origin to the loading of the screens to the joining of the server, whatever. So I finally get in, I'm playing, and I'm playing with a bunch of guys, and Battlefield's one of those games that if you're not playing with people it's really not that fun. So I was actually playing with guys that were playing together, and I'm playing for about 10 minutes, and I'm just about to shoot somebody, and the whole screen goes black. The whole computer just reset. Just rebooted.
You were too good.
In the middle of me playing, right? And I'm like, oh my God.
The developers
You
were
were
like,
ambushed.
Well, then it comes back up, and I see the screen that says, "Oh, look, we're getting your computer ready for the Windows Creator Update." I'm like,
Oh my
You've
God!
got to be kidding me! I was in the middle of this game, and you're getting my computer ready for the Windows Creator Update. Oh, I was so upset.
What about the fact they're doing this to enterprises now? Now they've fixed it since, but for a while we were having servers reboot on Windows 10 randomly. You can't do that to an enterprise, and that's
Right.
how they were coming out of the box. It's
Right.
insane, the decisions that they're making. But anybody find it interesting about Microsoft's donations recently to some Linux foundations, and also supposedly putting some shells within Windows?
The bash, yeah.
I don't know what's up with that, man. I don't know what there's got to be okay. Is it the cynic in me that
Ulterior
says there got to be an angle?
There must be money for 'em. There must be money for them. Why else would they do it?
I don't think people realize when they look at statistics and they say, well, 7% of users only use Linux at home. First of all, they really don't know. That's one thing I found out about those statistics, because people download it for free. There's no real purchase of receipt or anything.
Right.
But it does make you wonder, is that amount of portion of the operating system business really just 7%, or is it much bigger? Because on an enterprise level, I can tell you from major telecom companies, Windows makes up for local IT admins that are on site, but everything behind the scenes is Unix, Linux based. So Windows
Right.
has to be wanting to get into that as well.
Sure.
And
Sure.
most of that's pretty much owned by even Cisco's equipment and everything else all utilizes Linux based. So I think Windows sees a big money thing there, and I think there is an ulterior motive that they know if they don't adapt a little bit, people are just going to start jumping.
Right. And they're looking forward. Maybe they have the market share now, but they're looking at the growth, right, and the interest that Linux has achieved. So maybe they're looking ahead, saying, you know what, if we don't do something now, we might not be on the front edge. I don't know. It's money driven for them.
Yeah, it's always money driven. Carl, do you run Windows at all?
Nope.
Me neither.
And with all of the designing you
better.
do, with all the graphics you do it all on Linux, right?
Yeah, all of it. Yeah,
Nice.
I had to download Windows. I ran it in a virtual machine for a project I was doing for my sister, because I had to use Illustrator, which was absolutely not even true. But the vendor I was working with wanted an AI file, and she could not convert any SVG that I was making. So I ended up using it and gave her the file. She still couldn't make it work, and it just, I don't know. I don't even know what happened to it. She ended up fixing it somehow, but so I downloaded it just for that, but I used it for about 10 minutes and that was it. I wasn't impressed.
Well, that was well worth it, right?
I haven't used Windows since 2009.
Wow.
Yeah. So you guys are talking about Windows 8. The only time I ever saw Windows 8 was when I was messing with it in Best Buy.
Man, he's like
Wait, you ain't missing nothing. Trust me.
No,
I ain't missing anything. I was one of those guys that updated right away just because I like to see the new stuff, and it was terrible. Sorry, it was terrible.
And they took away that start button. That was just murder. It was.
That's all they had going for them, though.
But look, Windows is used by pretty much everybody. And when you take something like that away that people are so used to, I mean, this isn't just like some minor issue, minor, oh, well, they took a icon off the screen or something. This is you changing the way people do their workflow, and even down to normal everyday users who really even don't even have a workflow, but just know they get on the computer and they hit this button. You take that away from them. I mean, how can you not think you're going to cause major tidal waves?
So it would be like if Ford decided that your throttle now was operated by your hand.
Yes, exactly. How can you not expect people to be upset?
It should have had
you can do that.
On off, something like that.
You can do that in American Truck Simulator,
Can you? I'm downloading that. I am so downloading that now.
No, but that's a perfect analogy. I mean, only Microsoft could think that that's not going to cause such huge waves. I don't know.
They're Microsoft. They can do what they want.
That's right.
What about Google taking away the backspace?
Oh, you're talking about on the Chromebooks?
Yeah. No, on Chrome.
Oh, in Chrome.
The browser.
Did they? I don't use it anymore.
Chrome,
I don't use
you can't
Mozilla.
hit backspace anymore to go back. You got to hit Alt left arrow.
Huh. My Chromium has one.
Yeah. It has a button up at the top, but you used to be able to hit the back, the back, key on your keyboard.
Never even noticed, but I don't use the backspace to go backwards. I usually use the mouse thumb button.
I'm the only one that did that.
Wow. That's why
yes.
Jesus, is this computer that old?
Does that computer come with a mouse? I mean,
what do you mean a 3-button mouse? What you talking about, Willis?
You gotta update your drivers via the floppy disk that came with your mouse.
Right. 5-inch floppy disk.
I thought this was killer.
But it's a stack of them.
Yeah.
Like Wing Commander. Remember, it was 25 discs to install Wing Commander back in the day. Those were the good times, man.
I thought it was like heaven when the zip drives came out, dude.
Oh yeah.
Gee,
that was awesome. You know how much stuff you could put on a zip drive?
I still have 5 1/4 floppies.
I had in right before we moved, I had a box of old computer stuff like floppy disks and stuff like that, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get rid of it. I should have kept it just for nostalgia's sake, but I got rid of it. Heck with it.
So you're telling me my Sony camera, which uses 3.5-inch floppies to capture is antiquated?
No, it's great, man.
I tell you, it takes better pictures than I've seen in anybody's, iPhone or these newfangled digital. I'm telling you. I mean, it may be big and bulky, and it does use 3.5-inch floppies, but I'll tell you what, I could take 10 pictures and store it on my computer, 1 meg for 10 pictures. Today's cameras are at least 1 meg per picture, right? And I'll tell you what, my pictures are pretty clear. My Sony, I can't tell the model on it because it's worn off, but...
But you have a button to click it, right?
Oh, yeah, it's all buttons, What do you mean?
What do you mean?
They make fun of me at work, too. This is
Sorry, Ski.
I want to use this camera at work.
Well, Microsoft is out with that Windows S now, where it's basically a stripped down version of Windows where you can't run every app, including the Linux bash stuff that they just put in.
I should get that.
Well, your computer may run that. It's meant to be a Chromebook type of operating system, so you may be able to run that. Just saying.
Isn't that the problem with Windows? They don't know what they want to be. And
they don't.
And I made my living off of Windows for a long time, so I don't hate it. It's just they lost who they are through the way. I don't know if they ever knew who they were, but they've certainly lost it. And it's like every announcement you hear from them, it's like, oh, that sounds kind of neat. And then they come up with another announcement like Windows S, and you're like, where are you coming from? And it's the perfect example of corporations that get so big, nobody knows really what's even going on in the company. And it's a perfect example of that and why it fails so hard to hit the mark so many times. Because it really wouldn't be hard to make Windows great again. Hear that reference? But it really wouldn't be hard to make Windows great.
Okay, Trump.
But they just don't seem to be connected with their audience or care at all. They kind of want a little bit of what Google's doing, a little bit of what Apple's doing, a little bit of, they just maybe what Linux is doing, and they just try to jump around everywhere instead
Isn't
of
that
trying
what
to
they
make
tried
their
to
own road.
accomplish with their whole insider program?
Yeah, I think so. They were trying to create a Linux-like community, but you ain't gonna get it passionate people for Windows. It just ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, when you got an insider program that has how many million people? I mean, it's not a community. You're not getting one-on-one feedback, are you?
And are they really listening to them?
Exactly.
They don't care, dude. They're not listening to anybody. They're doing what they want.
They didn't read one of them. I guarantee you. I know they didn't read mine.
Yeah.
Who does? Not even Rocco.
I don't know what are you talking about, Ski?
See? I'm pulling him up first.
So, Carl, did you try that vector program out?
No, I have not yet. I did download it. I opened it, played around with it for just a second, but I haven't gotten into the nitty gritty on it yet. I do want to check it out, though. I'm in Inkscape right now, actually.
Playing around.
Yeah, sort of. You want to take a little sneak peek of what might be coming down the pike soon?
Yeah.
Rocco, Carl's the guy that does all the great graphics, right? The web pages and the wallpapers, right?
He's the guy that made my logo.
I'm working on a little something for Jody James.
Oh, at OB Revenge?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
So we'll see.
You are an artist. You're a true artist, Carl.
I think he's going to combine all the distros together and make just Revenge OS.
Oh.
And then you'll be able to choose your different desktop environments. So
kind of like Tergos.
Right. Like he's thinking maybe like July he might do it. But I gotta get started now. So
yeah, I'll say. You got a lot of work ahead.
Yeah,
right.
You do.
We got banners. We're just trying to figure out a logo right now, so we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, I don't know about you guys, but we've been on for almost 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. What else you got, Das? What else you got?
Got nothing, man.
Got nothing. Well, are you gonna join us sometime on Destination Linux or what?
I would love to. I honestly didn't get the email. I will. Believe me, you invite me to something, I'm there. It's no question.
You gotta have DOS.
Honest to God, you were a very early supporter of me and my stuff, so believe me, I'm there. Yes.
Well, we're gonna have you on, and we're gonna have to talk some gaming.
Okay. Deal.
Definitely.
I'm excited.
And we also got to have Carl on. Carl, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Carl do the graphics that we're seeing here with the penguin and the D8, right?
Yeah, he did.
Man,
he did all of that.
The guy's
and
an
more.
artist. Keep up with good, Carl. You're unbelievable. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful.
Thanks.
What are you using to develop within Linux? Because I heard you say you only use Linux. What software do you use?
Yeah, just Inkscape.
Inkscape, no kidding.
Yeah, a little GIMP every now and then, but just for PNGs a little bit. But 99% on Inkscape.
With AMD, besides.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Graphics.
I would love to learn all that stuff, but there's just so much to learn, man. That takes like practice and years of knowing what to do and how to do it and everything. And you also got to have some talent, and that leaves me out of the whole scenario. So
I'm gone.
Talent.
You gotta have like a good imagination, a good eye. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't have that kind of stuff. So
I envy that so much. That's one skill I just cannot get is anything artistic. It's funny. I did a a video on a bamboo tablet, and I'm like, well, it seems like it works right, but I'm drawing like stick figures. And I'm like, this is the best I can do for you guys.
Well, all
Seems
you got to
good.
do is look at the original artwork for like Destination Linux, and you can tell who did that because that guy had no talent whatsoever. It's basically
that was
a
awesome.
picture of Tux on a world, man.
Heck yeah.
No, that was so terrible. At the time, it wasn't. I didn't think it was that bad, but looking back, it was terrible. It was pretty bad.
Well, I'm glad you brought Carl on.
Well, luckily, there's guys like Carl who are actually willing to help, and
Yes.
otherwise we would be still using the crappy stuff. Just
I
saying.
like mine.
Yep.
Charlie Brown wants to know where you're at, Ski.
Charlie Brown.
The guy in chat. Check the chat, Ski.
I can't see the chat.
What do you mean you can't see the chat? How can you not see the?
All I see
your
is
computer have a monitor?
It says YouTube Bad Wolf Plays is live.
Ski.
Bad Wolf.
Does your computer have a monitor?
It prints it all out in dot matrix.
Look. See?
Oh wow, that's monochrome,
Got a
right?
CRT?
So you don't have to have it full screen, right?
You don't?
No.
Well, I got this window's in the way of the buttons. See? Oh man. Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. Yeah, that helped.
There we
Oh, it
go.
was all or nothing. Sorry, guys. There's no chat, see?
No, not yeah, but I'm not talking to Oh, you're not watching the live stream on YouTube. You're just seeing
am I
the
watching?
appear in. You're seeing the appear in window. That's like the appear in window.
Yeah.
Well, that's not
What else is there?
YouTube.
Don't forget, I'm graphically challenged.
Okay, well that's the appear in window, and if you would like when you started, you had to go to the YouTube channel to see the live stream.
No, I was watching an English Bob video.
Yeah, but you joined the chat, so it had to open up the YouTube live stream.
No, I can't go back there. That's just not happening. How about on the
Probably your
bottom?
computer.
Don't one of these things have?
It's probably your computer, Ski.
What? Stickers? Cam mic?
Oh my gosh.
Go to appear in. No, I'm already there. Shit.
Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. We just lost him.
No. That Dell overheated.
I disconnected to you again.
Oh my gosh.
See me now?
You gotta go put it in the freezer for a couple hours and bring it back out.
Go get a couple ice cubes, will you, Ski?
Big Daddy. Oh, no, I got you, Big Daddy
That's-
Live. Oh, wait a minute. That's you and Switch to Linux. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the yesterday's video.
Damn it.
Good thing this is live, huh?
Hey, stop this
Well,
crazy.
don't worry, we'll just cut this out when we're editing the video.
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay, so no, I can't see the live chat.
Okay, well, anyway, he just wanted to know what country you were in.
So do I.
What is that icon on your dock? Yeah, yes, it's a Orion. That is a shortcut that I made
What country I'm in?
to go to boot directly into Windows because I have multiple drives on here. So I have it set up to load a specific line on the grub menu so that I can just click it and it will boot right into that Windows installation. And no, I don't have a video up on it. I mean, I can probably make a video on that, but I don't have a video up on it yet.
What's this? Terms of use, no. Help. I'm in the U.S.
Thanks, Ski. Playing a Sergeant Schultz, huh, Colin?
Blank was this man.
Yeah. So,
Live chat.
what do you got? I asked yesterday, what do you guys think I should switch to? Because I'm going to be switching from Ubuntu. What do you think I should switch to?
Don't switch to Ubuntu. Oh, you got an NVIDIA.
I'm already on Ubuntu.
Whatever.
I think you need to
Mate.
give Manjaro another try.
You think?
Yep.
Carrara.
Come on, man. Wait, you want me to jump to Aurora, and Fedora is known for nothing but NVIDIA problems, and you want me to, you want me to go to Aurora?
He's like, now you'll have to get an AMD.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah, never mind. Go Arch base then.
Well, I thought about it, but I can't right at this moment. Not until Zoom updates. Zoom is what we use for the Destination Linux podcast.
Do Chakra.
To record it. And we don't use Appearin because Appearin pulls my audio down. Like, it lowers my mic automatically. The website does. And that's not good when me and Rob are talking back and forth because he gets louder than I do. So we have to use something else. So we use Zoom, and Zoom works out great. But with the last update, they sent me it wasn't working properly. They sent me an update for it, but it's not released yet into the main program. So they just gave me a fix for it, basically. And so if I try to install Zoom through the AUR, it won't have that fix, and we won't be able to record the show like I record it. Because I have two windows when it comes up. One is, it actually puts up two windows, and they're both me until Rob joins, and then one is him and one is me, and that's how I set OBS up to record it that way. And the way it was before, one was black. It was just a black screen. So if I install something like Intergos, I'm going to get the regular Zoom file that has that problem in it, and I can't do that yet. So until they fix it, I can't switch to an Arch-based distro. There's my excuse.
Gotcha.
Then
How
go
did it
Debbie.
sound?
Yeah, go straight Debbie.
So I don't know. Have you guys checked out Peppermint OS?
Not even heard of that one.
I've tried it in the past. I know better than Ubuntu with my challenge situation.
Yeah, I always liked Peppermint. Peppermint was a good distro.
So is MX16.
I don't know, man. I like Peppermint, okay? And if I could get away from not having I like a modern-looking desktop. If I could get away from not having a modern-looking desktop, Peppermint would be perfect because it seems to run good and everything just seems to work in it. But I just can't get, I try to theme everything the way I want it, and I just can't get it over that hump
Well,
to get it there the way I want it.
As well.
XFCE is a dying distro anyway, or a dying
Ubuntu-based, yeah.
Then go to your beloved Elementary.
No, like I said, I used Elementary for a week or two, which is a long time for me.
Stop tinkering and you'll love it.
It was fun to run as far as it was a nice looking operating system, so I enjoyed using it. But in the end, when you start customizing it, it breaks it.
Well,
so
then don't
there's no point in running it. If it's going to break, there's no point in running it.
Well, don't customize it then.
I have to.
Why?
You know me, Ski. I have to.
Jeez. How many drives do you got? Tinker with those.
I got a couple drives that I can install that
Well,
on, but
tinker with those.
the one that I want to use for my daily driver, I want to be able to have it look the way I want it. So Charlie, we use Zoom for the podcast. So I use OBS to record it, but Zoom is what we connect to so that me and Rob can actually talk to each other. And I know you can use Hangouts and other things like that, but we found that Zoom seems to be the best in the layout area that we can get it the way that we want it to look.
Why can't I see the live chat?
Yeah, why can't you see the live chat? Because you're not on YouTube.
I'm right clicking and everything. Where's the any key?
Open up another window of Chrome.
I just did.
There you go.
I'm in YouTube. I'm looking at Tom Arnold eating spicy wings. You guys can still hear me?
Yeah.
Of course.
This is unbelievable. Modern
Carl, Colin wants to know if you do any graphic design videos.
There you go.
I'm in YouTube.
Have you
now I
thought
gotta
about
have
it?
feedback.
Are you going to?
I don't know.
Okay, mute that. Pop
Maybe.
out chat.
I don't.
Pop out chat.
It'd have to be tutorials. I don't know if it'd be any good. I wouldn't
Sure
want
they would be.
Oh shit.
You're like an expert, dude. You would be the perfect person to teach people how to do it.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Oh man. You guys are gonna be so impressed.
We are. Did you have a keyboard and a monitor?
No, check this out. Wait, I'm almost
So
done.
I found your email, Big Daddy, and just to let you know, Proton Mail put it in spam.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Proton Mail.
But I finally got it here. So
Nice.
that's been
Hey, there's the
bothering me.
chat.
Check that out.
Now you can actually read it.
I freaking nailed it.
Nailed it.
He did it out of the park.
Man.
Yeah, so if you want to reply to that email, Goss,
Absolutely.
we'll set something up sometime, man.
Can't do two things. Oh, so they're making fun of me on the chat too?
Maybe it wasn't a good idea that you read the chat.
We kept him out for a reason.
Oh my god.
Fine. Look at this. Look what I've been missing. Oh,
Don't worry, it can't be any worse than some of the comments they left on my videos.
yes.
I don't know. Like I said, you took a lot of heat for that whole Linux challenge, dude. Man, this 30 days of Linux. Man, I was feeling bad for you, man. I really was.
Yeah, there was one comment. It's my favorite to this day because I just don't get I don't get it. It was like, talking about something I said about Linux, and it's like, besides, you look like a pre-ops transgender before surgery thing, and I'm just like, I mean, it just went off, and I'm like, why do you hate me so much? Because I didn't say mate right? I mean, come on. These people are mean, but 99% of them were super nice and kind. But there was always those ones, man. Ooh, it was fun. It was a fun ride.
Well, you're always going to have that because, like I said before, even in the Linux community in general, you're always going to have those people who, like, when you ask a question, that they're going to, like, just nail you to the wall for even asking such a ridiculous question.
And I don't think people understand that in a lot of ways, if I did a purely technical video, and there's a lot of Linux videos like this where I watch, there are 45 minutes of recording, and these guys clearly know way more than I'll ever know about Linux, and nobody's watching, number one. But number two is they're losing most of their audience because nobody really cares about it. If they're watching that video, they probably already know all of that because it's so far above. And so, I was taking a lot of heat for, well, you need to describe the difference between the distribution and the desktop environment. And you didn't explain. And to me, it's like, it's a package. When I download it, and that's what I think most users do, I'm experiencing the package that it comes default when I click that download button. And I can sit there and start explaining that in every video, and maybe that would warrant another video. But at the end of the day, I'm going to lose 90% of the audience. And my goal is to bring new people into Linux, not convert people who already know Linux. The people who watch my channel that already know Linux, they're the ones who are the smart ones, and the nice ones usually come in there like, hey, this is the real answer to that, or here's what you're having a problem with or why you're having it. But I think the idea is not to overcomplicate or dissuade people from looking into Linux because we get so technical or so geeky that people are like, I'm not touching it. There's no way I
Right.
can learn.
Right.
Well, even with, but that's so easy to forget that though, because like even I'll make videos and they'll okay when we started Destination Linux, the podcast, we started talking, and we're not a technical show. I mean, we're not the. I mean, there's plenty of other shows out there that are way more technical than us, and yet there were still people out there who said, "Hey, can you explain what a desktop environment is?" You know what I mean? Like even simple things like that. Could maybe not do a whole show on it, but when you're explaining it, can you just elaborate a little bit more on what these things are? Because not everybody's familiar with it. And you know, it was funny. I was talking to a guy at work, and I'm talking to him about Linux. And I don't know about you, but did you ever get? You had to get the look. The look. You know the look I'm talking about when you say to somebody you're running Linux,
Mm-hmm.
and they're
Yeah.
like, "What is that?" You know, and so it's like I'm talking to him, and I'm talking to him about, yeah, this is cool. It's got a graphics installer now, and it's it's all repositories, and he's just looking at me like I am like an idiot. Like, what are you talking about? But you forget these that not everybody knows all these terms. It's second nature to you, but not everybody knows these terms.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think a lot of people, like I said, in a lot of the comments that I would read, were people were correcting things that I said, and a lot of times, like I said, they're right. Most of the time, they're right. But there were a lot of situations when I'd go and research and find out actually that what they thought wasn't exactly wholly. So I mean, there's so many rabbit holes you can go down when you start trying to get really geeky. Or sometimes I would want to go in, especially with telecom knowledge, and somebody would argue about uh, some things that were telecom related. I could go into my comments and be like, "Well, actually, moron, blah blah blah." But you're never gonna win your audience that way. So a lot of times it's just better to go, "Yeah, thanks. I know I'm just an idiot. Goodbye." And move on. But for the most part, like I said, it's a really small part of the community, and for the most part, I receive so many emails of people saying I'm switching now. So I think keeping it light, and when as I get better at Linux, obviously I can do more detailed videos and explain things better. But right now, it's really I view my channel as really people experiencing Linux for the first time, like I am, and kind of learning along with me. That's kind of how the community supported it too. People like yourself who came in and helped educate and explain things and teach me. It's all built a community around learning it together, which is kind of
Right.
Mhm.
But that's what to me has been lacking in the Linux community in general, where it's almost like the Linux community itself is almost like a niche community. It's like a they usually stick together. They usually are a tight community, and I think in general it lacks the openness
cool.
to welcome new people. And I think channels like yours and others have opened the door for people who ease them into the community without getting flamed. I mean, when I first started Linux, I think I don't remember the year, but it was KDE 3.5 is when I started, and I don't remember what the year. It's been a couple years, but they weren't the friendliest people around to
Hmm.
talk to. To ask questions. They just weren't, and it was a big turnoff. But it's gotten way better over the years.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
But it still needs there still needs to be some work done.
Well,
So
I think the people probably spent a lot of time for a lot of years defending Linux, and that defensiveness is probably still there. What I think about Linux now, because I had played with it in the past, and obviously played with it at work and things, although my job wasn't with the Linux portion of it, but I had seen it. You don't have to defend Linux anymore. It stands on its own. If you don't want to touch the terminal, you don't have to. You pretty much don't even have to touch it, and you could do 90%. I mean, Linux stands on its own. It doesn't need to be defended anymore. There
hmm
doesn't need to be embarrassment with running Linux. Obviously, it's so good, and I think that comes through in even the challenge that I did. I was a high powered machines, heavy gaming person, lots of graphic editing, that type of stuff. And now I can't barely tell you the last time I booted into Windows. It stands on its own 2 feet. It doesn't need to be defended. It needs to be open, like you said, to more people trying it because I think they'll fall in
Yep.
love.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, gents, I think I am going to call it a night.
Wait,
I
Doc,
appreciate
can't
everybody
find
stopping by.
your
Ski, I appreciate you stopping by with your 1-core processor.
Somebody will take them for the team. You've seen the chat people tearing me up.
I love you, man. Carl, we're going to have you on Destination Linux as well. Good to see you. Maybe we'll see you next Friday as well. And Das, it was awesome to see you come in. So,
Thank you so much for having
keep up with the videos, man.
me. I appreciate
Doss, what's your YouTube channel?
it.
Yeah.
Just YouTube at DasGeek /DasGeek. Yep.
All right.
DOS Geek?
DASGEEK.
DAS.
I did put the link in the YouTube chat earlier, but you didn't see that.
Stop it.
That's what crashed his computer.
You know what Alt Tab is?
Wow. Really?
All right, I'm done. All right. Thanks for everybody for stopping by, and maybe we'll do this next Friday as well. So until then, we'll see y'all later.
Take care.
Big Daddy out.
Big Daddy out.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Oh, I closed the wrong window.